Oh my gosh, I can't believe I agreed to do this now. Okay.
It's time for Gavin Doodle.
It's Thursday afternoon. It's Gavin Doodle time, and it's a very special Gavin Doodle. Hold on a second. Let me just get my feet up. There we go. Today we have a first for the show. We have a guest who is not our average guest, but an amazing guest none the least. None the least? Last? Least? Yeah. I got word through some fellow illustrators that there was an agent out there who I have heard of many times and works at the agency that my agent is at, that likes to draw with illustrators, those that they rep. And I was very interested in the idea, and they said that some of the illustrators I know said I should reach out to her and see if she would like to join me. And I've always wanted to meet and talk with her for a long time because I've only heard good things. And so I have books here. These are not her books, but these are books that she helped get deals for. So we have Home in the Woods by Eliza Wheeler. We have Little Ghost Makes a Friend by Maggie Edkins Willis. And then one of the dear friends of mine, it's overshadowed by Matthew McConaughey here, but just because with Renee Carilla. And so I'm going to let our special guest in, who is Jen Rofé. And so I'm very, very excited to, this will be hopefully the start of agent, I don't know why I put quotes on that, agent talk going forward. So here we go. Let's let Hello.
Hi. I've never been live on Instagram before.
Never?
Mm.
This is it's a little clunkier, I think, than some of the other live things, but it works. It serves its purpose. Hello, thank you for joining
Hi.
me.
Thanks for having me.
This is you don't know how much I've sort of looked forward to one talking to you at some point, because I figured I'd run into you around at some event. But to have you on, especially on here after hearing so many people talk about you, one, liking to draw with other illustrators, and two, having heard so many great things about you from all the people that you rep and people that have met you and people that have talked to you. And so I'm very excited, and it shows with how many people have when I put up the post with your face on it and whatnot, that everybody's like, "Ooh, I can't wait for this." So thank you for
That's
joining.
very sweet. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. You should be very nervous because of my drawing skills.
I have heard there are people who have told me that you're going to wipe the floor with me.
You've been warned.
So we will see. We will see. I I'll just say that I worked out this morning, and so I may be able to, it's not quite the
All
same
right. All
floor.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So real quick, what I ask everybody here up front is to sort of tell us, for those that don't know who you are, which again, shame on them, but can you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Yes, I am. I am Jen Rofé. Professionally, I'm supposed to be Jennifer Rofé.
Oh, really?
Um, but in life, I'm Jen Rofé. And I'm a senior literary agent with Andrew Brown Literary Agency, and I primarily work with illustrators, author illustrators, picture book authors, middle grade authors. I do the least of YA. I have a little YA, but my favorite is working with illustrators and author illustrators.
And then I went to do a little dive this morning just to see if I could hunt down some like past history. You also were a middle school teacher.
I was. I taught eighth grade for 5 years.
Do you have some insight on sort of what they
I
like and
do.
the awkwardness of a middle schooler?
I love middle schoolers. I taught eighth grade, and I thought eighth graders were the best. And when you tell people that, they're just,
They're shocked.
agog. They can't believe
Yeah.
that. Yeah. But really, eighth graders were the best. It's this really sweet spot between this youthfulness and then the jadedness of high school.
Yeah. We have a 12-year-old who is literally on the floor above
So
me
is that
right
seventh
now.
grade or going to be in
He's
seventh
going to be
grade?
in seventh grade.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
And so,
seventh grade boys are absolute monkeys,
yeah.
like
Oh, no, he already is. He
climbing
already is.
on desks, like they're bunkers.
I asked him the other day, I was like, do you, every door that you go through, do you try to jump up and touch the door? And he's like, yep, they all do it.
Yeah, seventh
So
grade. I was actually more afraid of seventh graders than eighth graders because, like, I don't know what is happening in seventh grade with the boys and the girls. It's nuts.
it's a transitional. I mean, they're turning into teenagers
Yeah,
officially that
yeah,
year, and that has something to do with it. So today we're gonna draw. We're gonna make the rules that I like to sort of state up front, especially in your case, is I want to be respectful of time because I
sure.
know that you have lots of things going on. You have publishers right now just ringing your phone with deals left
Oh
and
yeah,
right.
this not today. It's Juneteenth, so no one's
Oh,
working.
that's true. That's true.
Um, Happy Juneteenth.
Yes. Yes.
Not today. Though I'll tell you, and this is general information for people out there watching who are in the industry. It's been a very slow, hard year.
Yes. Yeah, no, I've heard that. I've seen that. I know lots of people have felt that, just in general, and I'm sure that there's going to be more of it with tariffs and all sorts of things affecting
Hmm.
all of these industries.
Hmm.
But at any point today, if you're tired, you want to jump off, don't hesitate. Just let me know. I want to send you off in a glorious style. So I will. I don't know what I was saying there. Let me know if you need to jump off of
Okay.
any sort. And if the
Thank you.
conversation goes any way that you don't want to go or you want to change directions or anything of the sort, just feel free.
Okay.
There's no harm there. Um, I am a little bit open ended today
Okay.
because I don't know what I'm working on yet.
Okay.
And so,
Wait, it's trash day. Let me shut my
okay,
window.
okay,
1 second.
that's the real life part right there.
All right. Open-ended
Um,
is good for me. Whatever. I'm down for whatever.
well, what I did is I have two different options. One, I can work on a big piece, which I do all the time, or if we want to throw out prompts, I have a bunch of boards already cut
Amazing.
that I can make a bunch of little like characters and things of the sort. Because I know that when someone has said draw a lobster
That's great.
multiple
A garbage truck.
times, a garbage truck. There you go. There's my wife popping in.
Oh.
And so we can work on a variety of different things. But I asked this to everybody as well. What material are you using today?
Oh, get ready.
Okay.
I have a sharpened pencil.
Okay, wait. What brand of pencil?
You
What
know
fancy
what?
brand of pencil?
So I just did construction in my office, so I'm moving back in. So I'm cleaning stuff out, and I found a box of pencils. Ticonderoga, Ticonderoga,
Ticonderoga
and it
classic
says
school pencil.
soft. I don't know. This is what I have. And I prepared myself with a second,
I love it.
and
Okay.
then I
I
I have printer paper,
Woo, fancy. Hey, you know
and
what?
that's it.
I have said to many times to many people on here that materials are not the thing. That there's. I mean, I reference all the time someone like Sean Harris drawing with crayons. Like it's not that crazy to use a basic pencil if you use it well. And so like who cares? And printer paper, that's what I use for a lot of like sketches and stuff at home all
Mark,
the
I
time.
also have, let's
Uh-oh.
see, in my little container here, I have some
Sharpies.
Sharpies. I don't know, I have a brown one too. Oh, I have a random crayon pencil from one of my children. Um, this won't do. I don't know, Mark. I don't know what you're supposed to
Yeah.
use. I have all
Well,
of these.
anything is fair game.
And I have a pen.
I'm gonna probably like collage down a few pieces of paper and then draw on top of them and make little things. So we will go. I know that there's already a request for a lobster in a garbage truck.
Oh, a
Uh,
lobster in a garbage
we can
truck
do a
from Brian
lobster
Diggs.
in a garbage truck.
Oh my God.
whatever that entails. But I
Can I
think
ask you a question,
yeah,
Mark?
Yeah, go for it.
So when someone says to you, draw a lobster,
Hmm.
you can immediately envision a lobster, right? Like you know what a lobster looks like, or are you like, what does a lobster look like?
I it depends on the animal or whatnot. Like if you ask me what a horse looks like, I can tell you what a horse looks like.
Right.
Lobster, I don't look at lobsters all that often. I'm a
Sure.
little bit creeped out by bugs of the sea, and I can make a guess as to what it sort of looks like.
Uh-huh.
But in reality, that's one of those ones where I'd probably have to do a little, like if I wanted to draw it realistically, I'd have to pull up a picture of it. And so like every once in a while when I work on books, I have to do that where there's like, oh, I need to be accurate to whatever it may be. And so I will do that. Like there's a couple creatures that I draw totally wrong. Like skunks don't really have like the Pepe LePew stripe on them. It's a little bit more nuanced than that. And so
Huh.
I was like drawing skunks one way, and then I looked up what a skunk looked like. I'm like, oh no, they totally have a different setup for the way the
Huh.
stripe works. Uh,
Okay.
so like some of it is me just winging it and praying that no one will call me out on it.
Right.
Uh, there are two things that I'm careful about it. That uh, dinosaurs and trains
Oh.
are the two that I would be very hesitant to not have some reference because of little kids coming up to me going like, "That's not the right type
So
of train for."
I was 100% that reader as a child. I would lay in bed with a picture book and just look at every detail in the art. And so now I'm the agent who says to my illustrator clients, you can't do that because there is a me out there who will absolutely
Yeah,
notice it and will hold it against you forever.
that's I my rule of thumb now is I have established enough of a like the whole world I like to draw is so confusing and strange to begin with that for them to pick apart that one thing they'd be like skipping over 100 other things just to pick apart that one thing. And so like oh, that's not that type of train.
Right,
It's like, yeah, trains
right,
don't normally have faces, and they're
right.
not flying in the air, and they're not doing this, and like
Yeah,
suspend disbelief, let's put it that
yeah.
way. So why don't we switch to our downshoots and we can just start working.
Okay.
I know that downshoot, you asked me about sort of setup, so I don't know. I have a screen here so I can watch and just sort
I
of see how.
actually we ended up we had one of these as it turns out.
Okay, beautiful.
So but I've never actually set it up. So bear with me here for a minute. But wait, but I have a different technical question because I've never
Yeah.
done this before. How do I, if I want to like share that we're doing this? Because my husband sent me a text. He's like, I can't. There's nothing on your Instagram. So how do I share to something?
Uh,
No. How do I?
I don't know if
Or
there's a
can I
way to
not?
share it. I think the best way is to probably just have him tune into my feed, and then he can get it. And then after it's done, I will share the actual live recording with you, and it
Got it.
should be able to work that way. For some
Okay.
reason, my screen is really blurry right now, but it should correct itself
Okay.
in a minute. But so I will switch to my downshoot, and I will watch sort of on my end your setup
Okay.
and make sure that it sets up okay.
All right.
I'm gonna sort of manage mine.
Oh, hold on one sec. I have to take this out of my. Sorry.
It's okay. No, this is technical difficulties can
Okay.
be to show up all the time.
Is
So
this working?
uh, it was.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you turn your camera upside down? Not upside down, but like rotate it 180 degrees.
This?
Uh,
No, maybe more. More? You mean like this?
yeah, more. It's a matter of like where your hands come in.
What are you looking at on my end right now?
We're looking at
Oh, that's
the
me.
base of
Sorry. Do I need to make this higher? Oh boy, Mark.
potentially there, like that. Perfect.
That help?
Perfect.
Am I
That
not?
works.
Am I upside down or no? Am I okay? Like,
No, you're okay.
hello.
It's a matter of just what angle your hands are coming in at,
Okay.
and so that should work. So we'll draw a lobster. I got to start with a lobster first, and then I will figure out how to put one in a garbage
Oh,
truck.
so we're drawing this? We're drawing a lobster?
Do you want to?
Sure. Okay. Oh,
Well,
good Lord.
you quizzed me on what a lobster looks like, and so I'm going to try to challenge myself because I normally don't draw stuff that are underneath the sea all that much because it's too confusing to me.
I more or less, oh my gosh, I can't believe I agreed to do this now. Okay.
I mean, I have to.
Something like this.
I mean, they're segmented like a shrimp,
That doesn't help me.
and they have some sort of like
Wait, this is like, I
tail.
think this is
But
like
so
this.
as you draw, I'm going to ask you questions, and I'm gonna and if you have questions too, feel free. Don't hesitate.
I
But
did not
um,
consider that I have to draw and talk at the same time. Okay.
that's part of it. That's part of it. It's called Gavin Doodle, not just
All
Doodle.
right.
Um,
Oh God,
so
I have so much pressure right now. I don't know how to draw a lobster.
well,
Okay.
I
Oh,
see the problem is I draw like
yes.
shrimp versus
I
lobsters.
like eating lobsters. They're delicious.
I have I grew up in Minnesota, and there was enough fishing uh, odds and ends around that I saw too many like gross filleting of fish and whatnot at
Oh,
a age that I just can't. Um, I cannot imagine the idea of eating fish. At
wow.
this point, I did when I was young. I think it was just like maybe I was traumatized of some sort at some point by some of it,
Well,
but it was
I am. I mean, I'm creeped out by sea creatures. So I understand.
yeah, it's got to be something about like the like seeing something or the same thing with worms and bugs
Really?
in general. Like I'm pretty sure that I know there was a moment when I was really young wherein I grabbed onto a cooler like a what do you want to call those a deep freezer like one of the big chest ones, and there was a slug on the handle that I didn't see. And I remember grabbing the slug and freaking out. And like ever since then, slugs and slimy things are a no go. And I can place it back to that moment in particular. And so it's one of those things where I assume there's something to do with fish in the same way. Um,
Right.
so
Mark, I
tell
think
me,
I did it. I might have drawn a lobster or a prawn.
see yours, you got the eyes better. I just draw shrimp with big claws.
Oh, you see, this is what I can't figure out. This is what every illustrator does. You manage to get like the dimension. Like
What do
I'm
you?
always taking things like head on,
Oh,
like
oh,
flat, but like when every time I do this with illustrators, they're doing this kind of like side angle thing and then it has this dimension thing that I cannot figure out how to do.
I some of that I will say that some of that is a learned skill of understanding shape and like uh once I see something and sort of understand the basic structure of it, it gets easier for me to understand what it would look like from different angles.
Ah,
And so like as an example here, this is one of the things that I teach students periodically is, and hopefully this is, I will zoom in a little bit. I don't think I need to be that far out. If I draw something like a horse, I'm using this one just because it's one I use in school. If I draw a horse, the basic structure of a horse are two circles, a little dip in the back, what is that called? A trapezoid that comes up for the neck, a circle for the head, and another sort of trapezoid for the muzzle down
huh.
there, right? But if I start to just overlap some of those, I can put a circle here, a circle here, a circle here, and now I can start to get the idea of the horse from a more straight on point of
Oh,
view.
look at that. It turns into a horse.
Yeah, and so yeah, well, it's not a perfect horse of any
Oh,
sort, but that idea of once you understand the basic shapes that are there, you can start to overlap and underlap and move those around to understand the basic structure of said animal or whatever it may be. Um, and so, like, if you can, the equivalent of, I'm trying to think of like another animal that's in that same vein, that has like multiple shapes in it. Like even the lobster, even if you had your lobster that you have straight on here, I can say it's basically an orb with a bunch of sort of orbs lined up behind it or cylinder behind it. And so now I can start to say, let's move it to a different angle and maybe it has a little twist in it, and it's literally just circles laid on top of each other, and I can get that, if I draw with this, I can get that idea of that going back in space with those
Huh.
curves. And if I have those, the eyes sticking out wherever those are, I can get a little bit of dimension out of it. But some of that is just a learned practice over
So you
time.
realize I've basically suckered you into giving drawing
Oh, that's
lessons for
fine.
hours.
That's fine. I'm a college professor. I'm used to sort of sharing information and bits along the way. Okay, so I want to draw. So we're gonna try to do a garbage truck
Oh
now
my
from
God.
memory. Let's see what we can get out of this. So
Okay.
as you draw the garbage truck, I need to hear a little bit about what it's like being an agent. So I don't know if you've obviously you talk to my Jen,
Yes.
or one of the many Jens
There are
at
four
the
of us.
agency.
I will say I was the
Uh,
first. Oh, I have to draw a garbage truck while you
yes,
do this? Okay. Okay.
you have to
Oh
draw a
my
garbage
gosh.
truck
Okay.
as you do this,
Okay.
um, and uh,
Oof.
I I am a little bit scared of my Jen.
Oh,
If
you're
you
okay. Yes, your Jen can definitely be scary, but she is also a total fraidy cat and like such a love.
I've heard that too. I think it's an authority thing for me,
Huh?
of like I'm afraid to say the wrong thing or be seen as non-intelligent in those
In front of
situations.
Jen because she's so smart and she's like frighteningly smart.
She is very very smart, and I will say there was a day where she was my agent at the time, and I was at a SCBWI event, and she came up to me and said something like, I had a business card that I had given out to folks, and she showed it to me, the one that I gave her, and she goes, "Where's your name on it?" And I'm like, "Oh no." And I had done the thing without putting my name. I put Studiohoffmann, I put other things that are like important to the brand, but I literally forgot to put my name on it. And her calling me out on that has haunted me to this
Oh.
day, because it was me sort of looking like an idiot in front of her, and I think she knows that I'm a little bit scared of her, which I think is actually kind of a good thing
Mm-hmm.
in a way. uh,
Mm-hmm.
but so there's this desire to know, and I can't ask her. I feel like it's too much for me to ask her.
Okay.
But
So you
what?
ask me and I'll tell you.
Yes, yes. So you can give me the insight. What is it like being an agent, basically? Like, what are the challenges? What are the things that, um, like, there's this mystique to, oh, we need to, someone who's trying to break into the industry, trying to find an agent or someone that will take them on. And I'm wondering from your side, sort of, what is it entail? Is there tricks for people to sort of understand about agents just in general, beyond just the like, how do you query? Querying is
These
fine.
are these are such good questions. What I'm trying to think on here is like, see, I'm so close to it, right? I'm an agent. I don't know.
Yeah.
What is someone tell me, like you tell me, or I don't know, someone out there put in a comment or something like, what is what is the mystique? Really? Honestly, I'm asking honestly, like what is it?
Yeah.
What's the mystique?
I think it's sort of my experience when I was unagented was sort of like, how do you stand out to
Yeah.
someone who sees everybody coming at them on a regular basis, saying like, look at me, look at my work, can't you rep me? And then all of a sudden it's, you are a small fish in a big pond, and you have to catch someone's eye, and it really depends on the agent, because not everybody likes the same thing. But how do you sell yourself? Is there some trick beyond literally just having good work? Are there things that, like, I guess that the initial thought that I have is, like like is it about personality in the work? Is it about the vibe that just someone gets from like an agent when they look at work?
I
Is it
think
just that?
Well, no, gosh, it's such a hard question to answer because in many ways it's very subjective. So what's going to vibe with me isn't going to vibe with Jen L,
Yeah.
right? And that's entirely subjective. I think the most important thing here, it's not these other things like what's the trick. I think a lot of it immediately comes from understanding that it's not personal and that an agent's response is not personal. And maybe even, I think a lot of agents, at least for me, I think sometimes we can be really direct or really blunt, just really honest, but without any intention of being unkind or cruel.
Yeah.
That's not our intention at all. We love working with authors and illustrators. I would dare say that we like them even more than publishers because we are looking out for their best interests, right? We're your advocates the whole time. I know I'm supposed to be drawing at the same time. Sorry. It's hard for me to draw and talk, as it turns
Yeah.
out. Um, um, so I think it's first of all understanding that it's absolutely not personal and that so many of the decisions we're making are just business decisions based on what the market looks like at a certain time, based on what our lists look like at a certain time, based on, I don't know, whatever, these other various factors. Sometimes I'm saying no to someone simply because their artwork, let's just talk artwork since that's what we're doing
Yeah.
here. Their artwork might be fantastic, but it might just be too similar to someone I already
Yeah.
represent. And I don't want to create competitive situations for my clients, right? So sometimes it's that simple. I don't think that there is any trick other than having a really strong voice, a clear vision, a clear perspective for your work. Um, I don't want art directors to go or editors to go look at the clients, the illustrators I represent. And let's say they're looking for Eliza Wheeler, right? They go look at Eliza Wheeler and they like her artwork. Let's say Eliza's not available for the project. I don't want them to be like, oh, okay, well then we could go to this other client of Jen's who is similar to Eliza. Like I don't want that. I want my clients to have a voice, a perspective that feels so singular to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's part of it is just really having a singular voice. There's got to be a way to draw that little scoopy thing in the back. It's not a scoopy thing in the back. It's
Well,
got to be a thing that picks up the trash
it
can.
depends on what your garbage truck looks like. Because I realized partway through, mine has near us has like a little hook on the side
Huh?
that they dump trash in midway on the garbage truck and not in the back
Ah.
of some.
Ours, I think, go in the back or the top. I don't know. I kind of cheated because a garbage truck went by while you were talking about drawing a garbage truck. So I looked at it and I noticed that it had this little scoopy indent thing back
Oh
here.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
but I don't know what to do from there. But I'm gonna just make something up.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the key is find it to be close enough that people aren't gonna sit there and go like in my case I realized afterwards I drew a little exhaust out the back so I could draw exhaust coming out and then realized that garbage trucks don't have an exhaust in the back, they have a
oh, a
smokestack
thing at the top,
thing
right?
on the
Yeah.
top. Yeah, so this is just dirt getting kicked up now. uh it's speeding along here. I'll put some speed lines on it so it's whipping along as it's dumping out
Oh my
trash.
gosh,
Um,
how do you do that? How do you guys do this?
is this? I mean, how you've been an agent since what? 2000
For
and
almost 20 years.
okay.
Since I think the first book I sold was in 2006, like January 2006. So oh my gosh, almost 19 years, I guess.
Do you know? Do you remember
Wow.
what book it was?
Yeah, it was Meg Medina's first book, called Milagros, the Girl from Away.
Uh, the uh, I'm at the. I mean, you must be at a point too where it's remembering what you've worked on and what deals you've struck has become a little hard. Like in my case, I've only done, I'm gonna guess, 15
Uh-huh.
books, something like that. But I'm at a point where I don't remember all the titles to them. When someone asks me
Right.
like, "What are the names?" I'm like, I don't remember. And one of the books changed titles midway, so I call it the wrong name all the time.
Yep.
Uh,
That happens all the time to us.
yeah.
We get
Um,
sometimes at the agency we get money comes in and our admin will be like, okay, whose project is, let's just call it like the garbage
yeah.
truck, and no one responds because we because we sold it as as like the trash
Yeah.
can or
Yeah.
something, and the title changed, and we don't even know what the money's for. Sometimes it's like a mystery because of the title changes. We don't know who the money's for. I really can't figure out how to draw this little thingy at the back. um, I don't know how to do
I'm
the
trying to
angles or something.
I'm trying to think, like, I can't even think of what that would look like on the back of a garbage truck.
But like, how do you even draw that Scoopy thing? Oh, maybe it's like this. Oh
Well,
my gosh,
because
Mark, this is
some of them have, like, I'm trying to think, like, if I draw,
that's terrible.
this marker is awful. I'm gonna switch to a Sharpie here. Hopefully I don't get high off the fumes as we go along.
That could be
But
fun.
oh, it's happened. It's happened. I mean, I know that some of them have like an opening in the back, and then there's a whole big scoop thing that comes down that like compacts in
Yeah.
of some sort. But I don't know, like, I don't know what the structure looks like. Are they actually? You know what? Maybe it's angled. Maybe
I
that's what
think
it
my
is.
tires are probably also wrong. Let's see. Let's see. I'm now peeking over to look at what you're doing. Oh wow, look at your tires. Those are amazing.
That's
Gosh.
that's perspective. See, okay, now you said how do you guys do this? And
Yes.
I asked the question about how long you've been an agent. You've been an agent for 20 years, roughly. I
Yes.
have been illustrating for at least 25. And so
Right.
just like I could say, how do you know how to understand all the contract stuff? Like I don't understand all the like remainders and what percentages make sense for things. And I could probably learn it if given enough time, just like you could learn certain like artistic principles given enough time. But it's just I've been doing this for so long that it becomes back of hand sort of knowledge
Right.
of like how to structure things and how to draw, perspective on whatever an object may be. And so some of this is just like inherent practice that has come into play.
But if
Uh,
you're doing what I'm doing here, which is, very flat, because that's my
yeah.
style. That's my voice. My artistic voice is
Flat.
flat. What,
Okay.
what would be like the first line I make here to create that Scoopy thing?
Well, see, does the Scoopy thing come from the top or from the
You know,
bottom? That's the question.
in my world, in this Trex world, it comes from the side like this. And it's attached. This is in my head, okay? I don't know if
Yeah.
this is reality,
Yeah.
but it's attached here. Do you see my
Yeah.
lines or are they too light? It's
No, it's good.
attached here, right? It comes from the side. It's put like a big bolt here holding it down.
Oh.
Um,
Oh. Okay.
and so it's got to go this way, right?
I
Uh,
I assume I like
it's got to
I
come
the
down. It's got to be
challenge
attached.
the challenge with the garbage truck just in general is there's different types, and so I don't
Right.
know if like my perception of what. Oh wait. Oh. Oh. Okay. Wait. So you're saying there's like bolt here.
Right. Goes out
Uh,
that way. Correct. Now, what do you do?
okay. So here's what I would do. This is going to be this is my twist on it, and maybe this is what I did. Is let's say we have this structure that's like this, and we have the little bolt,
Uh
and it
huh.
comes up,
Uh
and it's
huh.
got that sort of scoop here. This is the illustrator in me. Is just put a bunch of trash that's falling out of it, and so we don't
Uh
have to
huh.
understand the mechanics of it.
Okay.
And it's trash, and boxes, and I mean boxes shouldn't be in that should be recycling, but it's things that are falling out that are sort of disguising some of the mechanical structure that's in there, and let that sort of cover up any discrepancies
Uh
that I'm.
huh.
um my assumption is that there's some sort of structure that comes in, assuming this is like this dark part here comes in and literally like pulls in to scoop that in.
Yes.
And it's basically
Yes.
like
Correct.
a slide of some sort.
Right. Oh, Mark,
And I
that's very good.
I don't know if it's on the inside or on the outside. Again, structure, like I haven't seen a garbage truck that has the back loading thing in 15 years.
Right. You got to get out more.
Well, we have these cool fancy ones that have different compartments in our Which is funny. I would think because you're out in LA, right?
I
I
am.
would think LA would have like the most like eco-friendly, special recycling, fancy trucks. But it
I
sounds
got to tell you, it's very possible we do, and I've just not paid attention. It's the same truck that comes around. They go up and down, getting the different bins. So
yeah.
they do have different compartments. But this is the most time I've ever spent thinking about a garbage truck.
This is see again. This is that classic like me as an illustration professor. I have conversations during the day that are like how many. I'm trying to think of like how many babies would a dragon have? Uh, and like weird conversations that like if a horse could fly, how would it flap its wings, like or flap its legs? Would they go forward and backwards because that's generally how they run, or would they be able to
Hmm.
spread out to the side? And like we have these stupid conversations, but that's the kind of like mentality you have to have in those like in the world of illustration of how can I stretch belief and figure out something that is feasibly passable by some audience.
But
They're willing.
I got to tell you, like, if I could pick, so I'll tell you a little story. You want to hear a little story?
Sure, I would love it.
So when I was a kid, I mean, I had to be younger than 10, and we were going on a trip, probably family trip to Florida, because I have family in Florida. And we were at the airport gate, and there was a guy who, in my head at the time, he was like a grown man. He was probably 20 or something. And he was sitting watching, looking out the window, and he had a sketch pad and a black pen, and he was drawing exactly what he was looking at. I was watching over his shoulder, and he was drawing an airplane, and I kept looking at his notebook over his shoulder and looking at the plane, and he was drawing exactly what he saw.
Yeah,
And I was so awed by his ability to do that. And ever since then, I wish, like, I so enjoy working with illustrators for lots of reasons, but one of the reasons is it is a skill that I do not have. And even if let's say I have it, if I worked at it and I tried to do it, I'm not motivated to do that. I just think it's such a cool ability that you guys have to, I feel like you could entertain yourself all day long. You could just draw worlds and draw people and make things up all day long. And that feels really special to me.
it it's weird. I mean, it's funny because I have these conversations with folks about um, the challenges of being an illustrator, but I also know that like and the challenge and I want to be realistic in the sense of um, the challenges that we have compared to someone who has to work in a coal mine or whatever it may
Of
be
course.
are very very different. Um, but I'm going to make this an LLC. There we go. But the all the challenges that we have get easily erased when we get to sit down and make a world. I mean,
Yeah.
just like a writer would. I mean, a writer gets to live in their head and discover all these fun things that they, they get to create names and they get to create relationships and all these things. The same thing happens with an illustrator. Of we get to sort of envision something bigger and beyond belief that's been potentially in our heads or someone has written and we're sort of envisioning it for them. There's all sorts of fun elements that come into play that I am very grateful for. I'm very grateful I don't have to sit in a cubicle all day long. I'm very
Right.
that like and I realize that it's I'm very lucky and very privileged in a way because of that. But it's uh, I think that probably every job has something of that sort where it's like when you look at it, the pros hopefully outweigh the cons.
Hmm.
But I know it's not every case. It's not every case. Is there thinking about sort of being an agent? What are some of the challenges? Like, give me the horror stories that go with being an agent.
I have some horror stories, but I'm
Okay.
not going to share them.
Oh, okay. Well,
Only
not
because
spoil, but
I think if it was your horror story, you might not want me to share it.
uh,
But I,
well, not anything that calls anybody out. But are there things that like people would think, oh man, it's easy because you get to sit back and you just like you read through a contract and you make money. And I know it's more than that, obviously, but I'm trying to like pretend like I'm them. Are there things that like people wouldn't know that an agent has to do? Like
Yeah.
some,
Um, why is it that I suddenly don't know what my job is? You know, like if you ask me right now to name 5 books I'd like, I'd be like, what's a book?
yeah.
Um, um, I think what's hard, there's always managing expectations. I think that we tell people all the time it's a really, really slow business. It's a business that makes no sense. But I don't think people believe us um, about how slow and absurd. It's sometimes it's like you're working in a, like in a, it's
It
an absurdity,
is.
this industry.
I have learned
Um,
I have learned over time that it is very slow.
It is so slow. I'm not an inherently patient person, and it's taught me to let go and be more patient and to trust, like, this will work out, this will come together, this will,
Yeah.
whatever, it's fine, we're gonna be fine. So it's not a fast business by any means. There are so many things that we do behind the scenes that people are not even aware of. The amount of emails that we read, or the little battles that we're fighting. Sometimes we're fighting battles our clients don't even know. We don't tell them because there's no need to tell them.
What
Um,
what kind of battles though? Like I guess like not that I want to again, I don't want you to name names or
yeah,
anything of the sort, but like can you give me an
sure,
example of
sure.
right?
Yeah, sometimes they don't know how much we're nagging for money
Okay.
for the payments. Sometimes they don't know that I'm saying to the publisher, "Hey, I am not going to let my client. I'm not even telling my client that this contract is ready until you've finished paying for this other thing."
Oh,
And
okay.
these are all things happening behind the scenes. Sometimes it's quite royalty statement questions. Why do these numbers look like this? And we don't tell the clients that we're asking because we don't want them to worry or to
Yeah.
fret. Sometimes it's just, hey, why are these notes taking so long? What's going
Oh,
on? Why are we not hearing anything?
don't get me
So
started
it's
on notes taking a long
Oh
time. That's
God, it's a real issue. It's one of the biggest issues happening in the industry right now. Um, so sometimes there are all these behind the scenes little battles that we're fighting, and we don't tell you because what's the point? What's it going to do? Nothing.
yeah.
We'll solve the matter, and you won't have been
Yeah.
stressed out.
Yeah. I mean the worst case scenario, yeah, it's gonna make me or whoever sit there and worry that like, oh, this is something I have to worry about, not just this time, but every time
Every time.
going
Yeah.
uh
Sometimes I'm having conversations with editors or marketing people, and my client doesn't know I had that conversation. Um, so it's little things like that. So for instance, I have my clients CC me on every email. Every email, you make sure I'm CC'd. If the editor or the art director or the someone didn't CC me, when you respond, you CC me.
yeah,
And the amount of emails I read with never responding, and then something will get me to respond, right? Then I chime in. So for instance, just yesterday, a client got an email from a publisher saying, we're running low on hardcover stock. We're not going to make more hardcovers. Do you want a box of the hardcovers we have? The publisher didn't CC my client. I'm sorry, the publisher didn't CC me on
yeah,
that, and the publisher absolutely should have
should
done
have.
so.
Yeah.
And I immediately chimed in with, "Hey, thanks so much. What about paperback versions? Oh, we don't have a paperback version, and we're not going to print one." Okay, is the book going out of print then? Well, when we run out of hardcover, the book will then be going out of print. So it's like these little things that we're paying attention to, that we then chime in about.
It's
Did that answer? I don't even remember what the original
no,
question was, but did that
I mean
answer the
like
question?
sort of yeah, what are the things that we don't know about? That's fabulous. Like that's stuff that I didn't like one of the things that came up recently is there was a marketing thing for one of the books I'm working on. They were talking about sort of how to manage it going forward, and they made an offer to the author and illustrator, I.e., me being the illustrator, and the agents, if they wanted to join this conversation, they would or they could, and the author's agent and their marketing person for their agency joined in on the conversation, which I've never seen before. Um, Now I'm sure it happens all the time, but that was new to me. It,
Mm-hmm.
and so like seeing that there's this like uh, the behind the scenes push on all this stuff, um, some of it is literally like, and this is going to be me being pretty blunt here on some of this, but some of this is just literally like, I don't know when and where to step in
Right.
situations like that. And having
Yeah.
an agent, like all the people that say like, well, why would you have an agent? They take a cut of your money. And it's like,
That's why.
yeah, that's why, is because I am not a good negotiator. I am not someone who um, is out there like, not necessarily picking fights. I think that's the wrong terminology, but out there trying to fight for what's best
Yeah.
in the situation.
Well,
And
I have so many clients too who would like, I have one client who I'm not naming names, but maybe he's watching. And it's someone you know, and he's always joking. Like he would take the first offer. He's like, I would be happy with that. I'm like, I know you would. That's why you have me because
yeah. That's
that's
my.
not going to
I
work.
had a. I've had multiple agents throughout the years, primarily like on the editorial side. And my first instance of an advertising gig was presented to me, and it's one where you bid on the project first, and then they
Uh-huh.
goes through advertising agency and all this blah 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 blah. And my agent said, "Do you want to work up a bid for it?" And I was like, "I guess, unless you want to." And he said, "Sure, I'll do it." And he came back, and I'm pretty open about these kind of numbers, but I was going to bid like $1,000 something because I was used to like small editorial gigs that are like $1,000 here, $1,000 there, and he came back with
Right.
26,000. Whoa, wait a second. What are you talking about? And then I looked it up in some of the books, and it seemed like it was within range. And I'm like, why does he have this much faith in me
Hmm.
to like that he thinks they're willing to pay that? And then they did. Now the project had a kill fee, and that was also when I learned about kill fees.
Hmm.
I'm very glad I did because it got killed. Um, and so like it's one of those things where like I just did not know the value of my own work or those kinds of things, and having an agent has made such a difference in my understanding of like how to operate in the industry. I think I'd be better at negotiation now, but I still won't trust myself. I
It
still
is one of
feel
my
like
favorite
a client.
things.
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
say all the time, one of my favorite things is to ask for more.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm better at doing it for other people than I am for myself. So I love it. I love what you're doing here,
I'm
Mark.
making a little colorful garbage truck.
By the way, I just want you to know that I'm very pleased with my garbage truck ultimately.
It's looking good. Those wheels look really good.
It took me time to get here, but this might be the best garbage truck I've ever drawn. I also gave it the initials NP for my friend's son who's obsessed with garbage trucks. So I made it for him.
Reminds me of what's the one that's the like excavator, the kids book that's the excavator.
The
Oh,
Ganite construction site books. Oh,
yeah,
Mark, that is so clever.
I can't think of the name. Uh,
Ganite construction site, those? No?
no, it's dig. I feel like dig isn't the word, but just the idea of the it sort of looks like a face on the front with the doors and things like that you've drawn. So it looks like it's got it's personified
I don't
of some sort,
know. I
like
don't
a
know.
scale factor.
I
Um,
just realized that people are asking questions on here, but I can't
oh,
see them. I wonder if,
I can relay some of these questions. Let me go
okay.
back. We've just been chatting, and
Yeah.
I know there'll be questions for you, I'm sure. Um, there's a lot of your clients right now, like Jacob Suva and Brian Biggs,
Oh,
which you just signed Brian Biggs too.
I did. I just
I,
signed on Brian.
I got the scoop before it was announced because
Oh, yeah.
we had
He filled you in.
yeah he was on right after, like right when he was talking to you, or right about to sign with you, and then he mentioned it afterwards. I was like, oh, good choice. Uh,
Oh, that's very sweet.
let's see. Doing really well. There's people talk in your favor. You're doing really well. So we can have a vote if you want. But
Not on
Mike,
the garbage truck.
yeah,
We'll find a
yeah.
different one. We'll do a vote
Okay.
on.
So Mike Petrick says, I love Jen's confidence in her lines. No light rush sketching. Just go for it. Let's see, let me see. I know there was questions in here at some point. I scrolled way back, so I'm like trying to get through it. Um, Okay, so here's one. Now, this is a probably pretty standard one that you've heard before, but I think it's worth sort of delving a little bit more into, and you already answered some of it, talking about sort of what needs to be in a
Oh,
portfolio to
that's a
impress.
great question. Yeah, happy to talk about that.
I talked about like the general, like you have to see something that's
Oh,
quintessentially like excites you, but is there certain things, certain criteria that someone should have in order to make it um, clear that they have potential?
yes. So the things we always look for in a portfolio, I'm sorry, it's not even that we look for, but here are ideas for
Yeah.
portfolios. Interiors,
Okay. Okay.
exteriors. So interiors, exteriors. So like think about interiors where kids would be, like a library, a classroom, their bedroom, the arcade, right? So think of interiors, then exteriors. So a backyard, a park, the zoo, hiking, whatever, some kind of exterior, the mountains, a farm. So you want interiors, exteriors. You want kids of various sizes, ages, ethnicities, including babies. And you want some grown-ups in there as well. And then also animals. And so then think of ways to combine those into a little story in one image. Sometimes some of the most compelling portfolios have images that look like a part of a story, and that makes them interesting.
Yeah.
So, maybe it's kids in a park flying a kite, but here comes a tree, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah. There's got to be
And I
narrative,
have, what's that?
there's got to be some narrative catch to it.
Correct, correct. You want there to be something, right, something interesting. And I've had multiple book deals happen from illustrators who were posting those kinds of images on Instagram, and editors reach out and say, "Hey, what's the story here?"
Yeah.
Or, sometimes it's just a character, it's like a character in a scene, and they reach out and say, "Hey, is there a book for this character?" I've, a handful of projects that have happened that way.
So let me ask you, this is another sort of pointed question. Some of these questions may be actually coming from me. Hint, hint, hint. Um, is there, because one of the things that I worry about with my own work, I don't know, I'm like gesturing with my hands a lot as I'm doing this. But with my own work is I am trying to develop a voice or work on a voice that has some quirk to it, right? Like think,
Mhm.
uh,
Yours totally does. It really does.
but is there a threshold where that becomes problematic?
Probably. I don't know what that threshold is, though.
Yeah. Like,
I'm going to make my trash chuck blue, by the way, because I have a blue crayon. Probably, but I don't know what that is. But problematic for whom? It will probably work for certain
yeah,
projects or certain
yeah,
publishers, but is it going to be appealing for most projects or most publishers? I don't know.
yeah. That's my worry. Is just like, am I pushing too far in a certain direction at any given
Hmm.
point and taking myself out of the running for something that would be really fun or I'd be willing to sort of work on.
Right.
But I also want to sacrifice. Uh, I mean, I have the lucky aspect of I have a day job, so I'm not always looking for like, oh, I have to have a deal today, otherwise I'm going to
Right.
starve. Um, and so I'm willing to let go of some of those things with the knowledge that um, long term I will. I how do I put this? I'm willing to sacrifice deals to maintain my aesthetic or my interest,
Yes.
but understand that that also can come with some challenges. Uh,
Hmm.
so like that's always been a debate in my head of like how much do I lean into a aesthetic choice, and is there some sort of marker that says, hey, you've gone too far, you've pushed it to whatever degree, and maybe I need to pull back or challenge some of those beliefs of mine in a certain way.
Well,
Um,
some of that might just be your appetite for what's your appetite for the risk.
yeah,
What's the payoff? Is it working? Is it paying off? Is it not? Do you have to pull back? I don't know. That might just be a, wait and see kind of
and
scenario.
some of that is also probably like understanding what kind of publishers I want to work with versus
Hmm.
what they are willing to deal with aesthetically too. Like
Hmm.
I know that my style may not be the style that's going to get the big deals long term, but I also want that artistic freedom that sometimes comes with independent publishers.
I wish that publishers were more open and flexible in terms of aesthetics. I see the things that my kids are drawn to, especially when they were younger, the weird things that they would be drawn to, like on YouTube, like YouTube cartoons,
Yeah.
or especially on YouTube where it's far more creative, right? And or even just art out in the world. And I would wish, like, why doesn't a publisher try this kind of aesthetic? Kids don't have the same limitations that adults do in this way. So I wish there was more risk taking with aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, I same with me. I wish there was like, and some of this, and forgive me because this is like sometimes these turn into therapy sessions.
Right, let's do it.
Uh,
I love it.
we're getting there. But some of this is just like, uh, if I if I'm working on something that is inherently me, it needs flexibility. Like I don't want to have to sketch everything to the nth degree
Hmm.
because then all of a sudden it feels like I'm just replicating. I'm just, trying to uh, fill in the lines for something that was already pre-established.
Hmm.
I want the flexibility of being maybe a little bit more artsy fartsy in the moment and being able to try and play around. And sometimes that doesn't always happen if I'm trying to maintain a specific job or worrying about a publisher.
Yeah.
Uh, and I like right now I am, and you mentioned that idea of being slow in the publishing world. I'm
Yep.
waiting on a note back from one of the publishers on a style, like a sample of the finished artwork, and
Hmm.
I want to move forward so bad and
Yeah.
get, but I can't until I hear back because if I made the wrong choice, it's a new approach. It's basically I'm doing collage for the first time in a
Wow.
book. Um, but like if I make the wrong choice, then all of a sudden we're out of luck, and I'm having to go back and redo it all again,
Yep.
and I
Yep.
don't want that choice. Uh,
Yeah. I understand that frustration when I have clients who are like ready to go. What's taking so long? Why am I not getting those notes back? I want to just create this project. Oh,
yeah.
I now have crayons. I summoned
Whoop.
some crayons.
Wait, where'd you get the crayons? You didn't have them before, right?
No, I just, I know people.
Did they run you crayons?
I
That's
texted
awesome.
my husband. I was like, "Can you bring me crayons?"
That's awesome. Would you like to? I don't want to cut short your garbage truck, but we can switch to another prompt
I
if you want.
mean, no, my garbage truck is done. Your
Okay,
garbage truck is fantastic.
my little collage one. I figured I could get one in at some point. Here, let's see. Uh,
Oh,
okay.
someone thought we were going to be doing a giant lobster. Randy Goldberg too was disappointed, I think. Randy, here's my giant
Yeah,
lobster.
yeah. My lobster. I don't even know where my lobster ended up. Oh, it's still in my book, I think, in my sketchbook.
I really don't hate my lobster either, though it really looks like a
But
prawn. I would
but
eat it either way.
I think it looks more like a lobster than my lobster did.
So you're saying I won?
I think you won the lobster battle.
Yes. I'll give you the garbage truck.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fair trade. Fair trade. Okay. So we need another thing to make, and
I can't wait.
yeah, let's see if anybody's listening out there, and I know there are. Why am I so blurry all of a sudden? My feed is blurry for a second. Um, I need a. I did draw on this, just so you know, on my garbage truck, the black and white one. I did put a lobster driving, and it says Oceanic Disposal LLC. So I did put a lobster in that one, although
Wow.
you can't the blur. But it is there. Um, okay, so we need another prompt,
I
or how about this? What do you
yes.
want to draw?
You that you can't ask me. You've got to give me something to draw. I'm
Okay.
not. I don't know.
Okay. Uh, I'm going to say, what? Someone said turkey cooked
I
and
can't draw
living.
a turkey. Oh no, that's too hard.
How about a turkey though? Could you draw a
A
turkey?
turkey? Oh my gosh, a turkey. What does a turkey look like? I think I could draw a turkey.
Okay.
I'm also curious to know, genuinely curious, and if there's any illustrators watching, if they would chime in, what is it? amusing to watch someone who can't draw? Is it painful? Is it like, is it curious? Like, do you see something in it that
It's like a
you don't
yeah.
have? Is there like a joyous naivete, or is it just like hilarious? Like, what is it to watch someone draw when they what is it to watch a grown person draw when they can't draw well?
It's like a wreck on the side of the road
Right.
that like you can't look away. Um, I will say from my end that watching people who don't have, I won't say can't draw, don't have, because I truly believe this as a illustration professor, that it's a matter of time, it's not a matter of skill.
Right.
um so I don't subscribe to the like you can't draw. I think it's just a matter of like give yourself the time and you will. But I will say that I actually find it super fascinating, and the reason I find it so fascinating is to see the decision making process um, from someone who potentially doesn't have some of the predefined or the classic version of whatever the object may be in their head, how they come up with things. So like I think little kid drawings are 10 times better than anything I could ever do.
Right.
Purely because they're just going from gut. And so um, to me, watching someone who doesn't have that sort of like, well, it's supposed to look like this, makes it so much more exciting to see and understand sort of their thought process. But I'm sure there's other people that want to watch just to see a train wreck. Uh, let's see. I've seen if anybody says, let's see, watch anyone draw is entrancing. It's fun when a grown person is so earnest about it. Someone says, I think everyone can draw. And my wife, who of course is on your side here, whether you want her to be or not,
I'll
says
take
that
it.
you need to give yourself more credit.
Oh, that's sweet.
uh,
Thank you.
uh, yeah, it's joyful and refreshing. Um, so I think the thing is like, and I don't know if you have the same boat as other folks, but that idea of like as you're working, we judge ourselves all the time.
Uh-huh.
Even as someone who's been doing this for 25 years plus, um, I very much look at my work and go, oh, it's not good. Oh, there's something wrong with it. And part of that is just because of being in school for art. You learn to critique and critique hard. And so some of that is that, but I don't know. I find it, do you find it like scary too?
I don't find it scary at all. I find it amusing. It's like a brain exercise. It's a really fun brain exercise because you got to think like, what does a turkey look like? How on earth do you create those shapes? But then it's also a bit confounding because like every time I do this, I could also show some examples of illustrator draw-offs I've done, but every time I do this, I think I know there's a different way, but I can't quite
Yeah.
remember or figure it out. Eliza Wheeler has given me a couple drawing lessons, which is always fun, and then I'm always excited after, but I promptly forget what I've learned. Like right, like do turkeys have beaks? They must have beaks, or birds, right? Like they
Yeah.
must have beaks, but
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what do their
I know,
faces look like? Like
but
I know they've got that gobble gobble
I
thingy.
think the other thing that becomes a challenge with the turkey is like, um, we're so used to the little kid version of it,
Uh-huh.
where it's like
Right.
the hand version, and that's not the same as what a real turkey looks like.
Wait, so
Do you?
I'm doing this wrong?
No,
I'm just kidding.
well,
I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
like
not doing that.
it's the like classic like NBC logo version
Yes.
of a turkey.
I used to
Um,
live in the Bay Area in a suburb in north of San Francisco, and there were wild turkeys that would fly around my neighborhood and they would jump on people's roofs.
yeah, that's I was going to ask because I know that we have turkeys out here, but I don't in LA. I don't think of LA as like a big turkey
I
county
don't
or.
think we have turkeys. We have peacocks in some places.
Oh,
We have a lot of hawks. I have hawks, crows, owls, mockingbirds all outside my window. And I love in the morning sometimes the mockingbirds and the crows and the hawks are all fighting. And I get a kick
do
out
you
of it.
do you? I don't even know. Like, I know I've been to LA, so it's not like I'm uncultured swine. But uh, do you have a lot of wildlife in
Oh,
L? Like, are you in LA proper?
yes.
Because I know like there's the like coyote threat.
Oh,
Like
I have
every
coyotes
dog out
up
there.
and down my street. I've had to like we now have an air horn hanging out by our door in case the coyotes come. We have coyotes up and down our street all the time, especially late at night and early in the morning. I've had my dogs and the coyotes face to face before. They don't bother me though. People really don't. My husband hates them, but I like them. I also grew up across the street from when I say a park, I don't mean a park like a play park. I mean like almost like a nature preserve with
Yeah.
orchards and hiking trails and creeks and mountains. And I grew up falling asleep to the sound of the coyotes. So they don't bother me. They're just doing their thing. Frankly, we've encroached in them.
Did
Um,
you grow up in
I
LA?
did. I grew up in LA. I grew up in the. I'm a true Valley girl.
Oh,
Um,
I mean
um,
that's cool. Yeah.
thanks. And I now live again in the valley, but in a different part. And yes, we have coyotes, we have skunks, we have possums, we have birds. There's mountain lions, but not near me because I'm down in the flats. We have lots of wildlife here.
I just it's one of those things where like when I think of LA, I think of traffic and I think of streets.
Yeah,
Um,
we have those too.
yeah. Really? Like,
Yeah,
most like
lots of traffic, lots of streets.
like the most generic version of I heard you guys have stoplights. That's
We
crazy.
have stoplights. We have lots of stoplights. It's funny to me that my very best friend in the world, we were paired up in the dorms freshman year. I went to UC Davis. It was
Okay.
my backup school. I thought when I got in, I was like, okay, cool, I'll go somewhere. But then it came down to Berkeley. I was going to go to Berkeley, Santa Cruz, or Davis. And Davis, Davis was, I'm sorry, Santa Cruz was a little too hippie for me. Berkeley was a little too chaotic for me. And I ended up at Davis. I ended up loving it. It was pastoral and beautiful. I just really liked this small town feel. Anyway, I was going to the small town to like, people were like, you're going to Davis. And my best friend was going to the big city. And that's like how different our upbringings were. And I remember going to her town for the first time. She grew up in the Sierra Nevadas, and there was one stoplight in her whole town.
Yeah, we I like I grew up in Minnesota and it wasn't I did not grow up in like the backwoods or anything of the sort, but it definitely was a different vibe coming out here to New England. And I know that the experience of the folks that I went to school with who stayed in that area, I'm sure that they would look and say like, "Oh, you're out in the big city area, or you're, like you're out on the East Coast. Ooh, so pretentious." But in reality, it's not that different. But I so let me. What did you go to school for specifically?
For college,
Yeah.
I studied English, and I ended up getting a minor in something called social and ethnic relations with a focus on multicultural literature. And literally the day I was graduating, I was like, oh my gosh, I should have studied classics and business. But I figured that out a little too late. So that's what I went to school for.
I just the title of your degree is so
I
long.
know.
It's one of those ones where it's like I think I got a bachelor of fine arts, and that's it.
Where did you go to school?
I went to RISD.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, and so like it's in art school I don't know is we have like the big like thesis papers and things unless you're doing your masters, and I did for my masters but not for undergrad of any sort. Um, but it's one of those ones, especially like being an agent. Did you know at the time you were going to end up being an agent?
No, I didn't know that agents existed. Want to hear how I became an agent? I'll tell you the story while we're sitting
Okay.
here drawing. I thought that I wanted to do. Wait, I'm looking first to see if there's any questions
Oh yeah,
here.
yeah. I'll track that. Tell the
Okay,
story and I'll go back and see if
okay.
we missed stuff.
I didn't know what I was going to do, frankly. I had no clue. Maybe advertising, maybe journalism. I didn't know. Um, I my very first job out of college was writing for a wine magazine, a wine trade
Ooh.
magazine. They hired me, and I'm not joking when I said I did not know what Merlot was. and they hired me. They liked that I didn't know anything because they then sent me on these interviews with these big time winemakers, and I was completely unmoved, unimpressed, didn't know who they were, and like big time
Yeah.
winemakers. And they would like give me all this wine and food, and I got to tell you, I'm a lightweight. I can't even drink half a glass of wine, and I'm buzzed. Right? I'm not a drinker. Um, so that was my first job out of college, and it was a very good experience. Um, and then I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought maybe I'd get into educational publishing and I should become a teacher. So I became a teacher.
So it's just
Um, but originally, I thought I wanted to work in animation. And I have an aunt who my uncle married her. I have an aunt who writes, produces cartoons. And when I met her when I was like 12, because
it's the coolest thing
I
in the world.
was,
Yeah.
what's that? What was
It's the
that?
coolest thing in the world when you're like watching
Yeah,
something.
she was like, she worked on the cartoons that I loved. And I was still watching cartoons when I was 12, which I don't know. I don't think that was a thing, except it was for me. And one summer in college, she got me an internship at Disney, and it was the worst freaking summer of my life. I hated it. It was totally miserable and stupid. My office was literally the closet at the end of the hall. I was basically making databases for them, but by photocopy. I had to read the trades every day and photocopy any stories about directors. What was it like? Directors, actors, screenwriters, whatever. I would go photocopy these stories and then file them into a folder. Ugh, Mark, it was awful. The best thing about that internship was that during my lunch break, I would go walk around the set, it was the lot, the Disney
Yeah.
lot, and any door, I'm not kidding, any door that said "do not enter,"
You
I
would
opened.
see.
And I found myself on the home improvement set. I walked around that set. I don't know, it's so silly, but I was so surprised to find that I opened the kitchen cabinets and there was just a wall behind them. And I was like, oh, they're not real
Yeah.
kitchen cabinets.
Did
Um,
you get to see Wilson? Was it Wilson, the neighbor?
no, the fence was
Yeah, yeah.
there, but there was nobody there. It was closed. I just walked on. Um, there was Ellen used to have a TV show. I found her set. Like I walked around that set. They were filming Armageddon at the time, and all it said was like a big sign on cardboard that said like Armageddon, do not enter. And I was like, what? So I entered, and it was a studio with basically a floor that looked like it was jackhammered. I did not know what I was looking at. I do not know why this was like such a like a protected set. I didn't like, what are you looking at? Who knows? So it turns out it was that movie,
Yeah.
Armageddon or whatever, with Ben Affleck. I did get to see Roy Disney one day, which was very cool. I was coming back into my building. It was quiet. It was after lunch. I had probably been snooping or something. And he was standing outside the building and he said hello to me and I said hello to him. And I was like, oh my God, I just saw Roy Disney, which was very cool. Um,
Did Do you still watch animation
so
stuff?
Oh, like with my kids and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't always love like adult animation. I like kid animation. So anyway, I thought I'd do animation, but I didn't. So when I was being a teacher, I was a long-term sub at first at a school in Northern California in Marin County. And one day the school admin, she said to me, what are you doing this weekend? And I said, oh, I think I'm going to go to Borders because that's what year we were in,
Mhm.
and look around and see what books there are, because I would always go look at the kids books. And she's like, no, don't go to Borders, go to Book Passage. I didn't know what Book Passage was because I was newer to the area. It's an indie, it's a real, oh, my pencil broke, it's a really great independent bookstore in Marin County. Anyway, after the weekend, she had put in my, I got back to school Monday and she had put, my turkey face isn't quite right. I got to figure it out. But she had put in my box their monthly newsletter, which was like a packet. And in the back was Book Passage University, and it was the classes that they teach. And
Huh.
there was a weekend for children's lit, and literary agent Andrea Brown was talking. And I
Good.
just looked and I said, what's a literary agent? So I paid for the weekend, which at the time was a lot of money for me, but I was like, I'm going to go to this thing. And on the first day, it was Lemony Snicket was talking. He was newer to the scene. He was on the rise, but Lemony Snicket was talking, and Judy McDonald was speaking. And on the next day, it was an editor was talking. And then the last speaker was Andrea Brown. And I remember where I was sitting. I could see her in my mind's eye. She was talking about what she does. And I went, that's what I'm going to do. And I walked up to her and I said, how do I get your job? And here I am.
Is she still, because I know that she's like transitioned off of being the CEO of Andrea Brown. But is she still being an agent at this point?
Yes, she still
Okay.
represents just a couple people. She's still at our meetings. She's still there. Yeah,
Okay.
yes. Andrea's still very present.
Yeah,
Yes.
I didn't know if she had like, yeah, what level, because she's still on the site and things of this. So
Yes.
okay, so here I have a question that goes, I don't even know how long ago this was, but says, do U.S. publishers prefer to work with U.S. based illustrators because of school, library visits, etc., or do they really care, or do they really not care rather, where they're located?
There might be for specific stories, perhaps, but no, I have clients in Canada and clients in the UK, and they still get hired for US projects, and vice versa. I have clients in the US that get hired for UK
Yeah.
projects and Canadian projects. So no, not necessarily.
Is there a different thought on sort of what's expected uh, for like the different like regions? Like I know that like Europe, their publishers work a little differently than what they do in the U.S. in certain cases, as far as like what they how the deals operate or prices and things of the sort. But is there an expectation that you see a difference between sort of American publishers versus international publishers
In terms of expectations, in what way?
in terms of like the look or the type of work? Like when I think of European work, I think of stuff that's maybe a little bit more avant-garde,
Yeah,
or or a
a little
little
more
bit more,
stylized.
well,
Um,
or even like
yeah.
more adult sort of issues
Mhm.
package.
I don't know if the stories are any more adult, but I find that there is a specific look, like this, I would just call it like it looks very European.
Yeah.
Um, that seems to appeal to them. Like I have certain clients who Europe is always calling for them.
Is there have you wait, oh, I have a question for you, and you probably have been, but you've been to Bologna, right?
I haven't.
You haven't?
I've never been.
Okay. I That is like dream vacation actually for me, is one, going to Italy, but two, getting to go to that
Yeah.
festival there. Um, it's one of those ones where like I'm interested in that partially because a lot of the books that I like to read are like these weird sort of translated versions of things
Hmm.
from other countries, but being able to see sort of the environment and the different publishers that are there would be a easy go to for me to be excited.
Yeah.
Um, how much do you think on the level of, and I'm asking this not for me because I have an agent, but how much do you think going to various events makes a difference in getting an agent, like being seen out in person, or is it primarily portfolio that really is the, like, if you met someone who's really nice that doesn't have the most amazing portfolio, do you give it a second glance because you met them?
No.
Wow. Okay. I was like waiting for like follow up, but
No, I mean, either, I mean, you could be lovely and wonderful, but it could not be a strong portfolio or could not be right for me or whatever.
yeah.
But I can't sign people on because they're lovely.
Yes. Okay.
That's, I mean, my, I genuinely have, I think, some of the nicest clients. And it's something that editors tell me too. They'll say, you have such nice clients. I'm like, I know, my clients are really nice. And so that is, a benefit, but it's not, I'm not signing someone on because they're
Because yeah,
nice.
yeah. No, there's in the teaching that I do, one of the things that we've stressed is that you need to be, what was it? It was two of three things. One of them is be nice. or the second thing would be timely, get your deadlines in.
Yes.
And the third one is, and it'd be nice is be a pleasure to work with, is the way that we phrase it. And
Right.
the other, just have amazing work. And as long as
Yep.
you do two of those three things, people are going to hunt you down at some point and hire you.
Yep.
You may not have an agent in that case, like the way that you're phrasing that, but the idea of just having an understanding of like you need to have good work is generally outweighs you being a lovely person. Uh,
And I have had clients before who were lovely or nice enough, whatever, who had incredible work and who could never get it done. And I have to part ways with them.
get it done, meaning like deadline wise.
Finish it. Yep.
Yeah, that's it's one of
And
those
I'm
ones where like that's
not talking 2 weeks. I'm not talking a month. I'm not
yeah
talking like, what's typical. I'm talking serious deadline issues.
that's well, it's funny because like for me working with Jen, one of the biggest issues I had at the beginning was I was so speedy
Uh-huh.
that Jen would tell me to slow down.
Right. Yeah.
Her statement was basically like, it's going to look like you don't care,
Oh,
that you're just plowing through it to get it done. And part of it was I was coming from an editorial world where speed actually is like a known factor, that you need to be, on the ball, and when they give you notes, you get it back to them quickly. Um, but I have learned that I need to take more time and think more. Uh, but I still like deadlines. I'm someone who will not miss a deadline just out of principle. Uh,
right.
but I know that there's plenty of people that do, and it's not a big deal of any sort.
No, it's
Uh,
not. No, and I get to know like my clients, I get to know, oh, this one is always 2 weeks late.
yeah,
This one is, and I can tell publishers, ahead of time. I could give them a warning, like, oh, look, this one's going to be,
yeah,
give 2 weeks wiggle room because, they're going to be 2 weeks late.
and
Um,
they build in so much wiggle room, anyways, that it
they
sounds.
tend to, yes, they tend to. Sometimes there's not wiggle room, but, sometimes, yeah, they tend to build in wiggle room.
I'm hoping that my next, or the one that I'm working on right now, has some. They've been good about wiggle room in general, because they got stuff back so late. They're like, we're going to extend our time.
Mhm.
Uh, we're going to give you a longer deadline.
Yeah, well, they need to. If
Yeah,
they're so late, they can't
yeah.
hold that against
Oh,
you.
it's totally not my issue, but it's one of those ones where like I want to take. I'm enjoying the project so much that I really want to take the time to like bring to it everything that I can,
Hmm.
uh, giving that. I want to make sure that I don't shortcut it, which means rush through it of some sort. But
Hmm.
see another question here. It says, if a writer revises significantly after feedback, is it still okay to requery down the line, or do you prefer they only query again if invited to do so?
No, they can requery. Why not?
Is there, I mean, I know there's rules and regulations for every different agency as far as like what, you're only supposed to query one agent at a time kind of situation, and like give it time in between. But do you look at the idea that someone comes back after querying with edits and says like, I took the time to actually work on this? Do you look at that, I assume, as a positive thing, like that?
Yes, I think that's positive. I think emotionally sometimes it's upsetting when it's still not right because I feel bad
Yeah,
having to reject again. It's like, oh, agents do get heart pangs about these things. We get it. Um, so yes, if you've really truly revised, query again. But if it's not right again, then maybe you stop there.
what I think you wrote a living turkey.
Yes, because there was conversation about a dead turkey and a
Yeah,
live turkey.
yeah,
So in
yeah.
case there was any
Any any question about what's
question,
live or not?
correct. This
Yeah,
one, mine's living.
I drew a
Let me see
a
yours. Oh,
what do you
you got the gobble thing. Oh yeah, those are good
a
legs. Oh, that's
little
very good, Mark.
waddle
The
or whatever that thing is.
waddle, that's what it is. Like,
Uh,
what is that thing called?
I what was the word? Not posh. There was a word in a book that I was working on, and they said the character was this, and it meant like tuxedos and dressed up.
Um,
And can't remember what the word was. It was a very
okay.
doesn't matter. But I put a hat on my turkey just because he needed
Wait,
to have a little hat.
I didn't see the
Um,
hat. Go back
oh,
because
here
I'm
I'll bring it.
craning my neck. It's such an oh, that's really cute. A turkey and a hat. You know, Mark, I think that's really lovely. I'm sorry to say this, and I mean this genuinely, but I think I win the turkey battle only because I think mine looks more like a turkey as we think of them,
Yes.
and yours looks like a wild turkey, and mine looks like a
Well,
turkey.
here's the thing. The challenge was to draw a living
Right.
turkey.
Right.
I didn't clarify mine by putting living in words next to it. I missed that crucial part of stating that it is alive. Mine's actually a dead turkey that's just eyes are stuck open.
Oh, yours is
So
dead. Okay, yours is dead. I
someone
understand.
glued his eyelids open of some sort and stuck that way. Uh, so let me. So we need another prompt. We need something from somebody out there to draw.
I can
Or
also show. Do you want to see some of my draw-offs that I've done
I
before?
would
I
love to
actually keep a
see.
folder.
Uh,
I keep a folder of them.
were you surprised on the ad when I put?
How did you get that?
It was on your
Oh,
Instagram.
was
Yeah.
it? I asked Mike. I was like, Mike, are you behind this? I could show you that actual Instagram, that actual draw-off. It was a piece of toast riding a horse. And we did this on June 30th, 2024. So almost a year ago. But this is what I did, which is, quite nice.
It
And
is.
this is what Mike did, which is very literal. It's like kind of what you would expect, right?
Yeah.
But like this really has some
When
flavor to it. So
you do
that's
these
what I did.
draw-offs with your illustrators, who gives the prompt?
They do. They get to pick the prompts.
And
Um,
then and then do they like purposely choose weird things, or does anybody come?
sometimes they purposely choose weird things. I did one with Dan Santat in 2015. So it was the subject was just a cat. This was August 3rd, 2015. So this is Dan's cat, which it looks kind of diabolical. Um, but this was my cat, which looks really sweet.
Wait, is Dan, was he one of your clients at any
No, it's
point?
not just
Oh,
clients,
okay.
just like any
Just
illustrator. I
illustrate.
have a lot of them with Marla Frazee because she thinks they're hilarious. And we used to be at a lot of conferences together, and so we always did draw-offs together. So the subject this was July 31st, 2015, and the subject was a man fishing. And she did this, which is lovely because it's Marla. And then this is mine. And what's funny is that we did similar compositions.
Yeah,
Um,
sort of leaning
that's
over
because
the.
I'm talented like Marla. Um, let's see. Oh, I have one here with Mem Fox. Oh no, I'm
What?
sorry. It was with Marla again, but Mem Fox picked the subject.
So wait,
And it was
done in person.
these are done in person. They're always done in person.
Oh, okay. For
So
some
this
reason,
is called
I-
A Kid with a Burst Balloon. And this was Marla's, which there's good emotion
yeah.
here. And this is mine, which is, kind of acting like a teenager. I got like some teenager there.
So I like
Let's
the.
see.
I'm just watching the feed. Yeah, the the scale. It's funny. Like it's even more because of the scale of the figure with on yours with the balloon. It's like a little less little kid.
Right.
So it's becoming older. So like it's even more like sad and depressing to me because it's not out of pure like. It's sort of like I had to hold this balloon for my parents so they could take this photograph of me. And, and
Totally.
like there's another level of despair that's going in
I have
there.
some with Katya Chen. We were on a plane together after a conference, and she wanted we did these on a plane. She wanted to do a crocodile. So this is her crocodile, which, yeah, it's in there. And then this is my ferocious crocodile.
I love the swing. Yeah, that crocodile. I feel like that one was online too, and I almost maybe I don't
It
know.
probably was. Yeah, I'm
There were
sure. I'm sure it
a couple
was.
of them that I was tempted to put in there, and I had to look for like what was going to show up the best on like to value wise. So Brian Big has given us a prompt here,
Let's hear it. Let's
and
do
so
it.
it's not too far off from the balloon one, but to draw a very disappointed and sad child, but cute.
Oh my
So,
God, seriously?
so
A
hey,
disappointed and sad child, but
now
cute.
here's the challenge. I'm trying to think of what they would be disappointed over, like what, because they're not just like the equivalent of the balloon
Oh,
is a
like a plate of broccoli or something.
okay, a kid who is disappointed by broccoli and was it disappointed. I think is also another like challenging visual.
This is so hard. This is really, really hard. Uh,
You have,
oh boy.
oh wait, you have crayons, so you do have green there.
I do have crayons, but I also, in going through this folder, I just realized I have something super helpful. I think Marla was teaching me how to draw. She was showing different ages. That's what it was, a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 12-year-old. I can use this as a guide for drawing my child. I'm using my resources now. That's what I tell my children, use your resources. Okay. Uh, okay.
Now, have you taken drawing classes or anything of the sort? At
Never, never.
well, I don't mean it like. Uh, I'm wondering, have you considered like going to any sort of like community center or something like that and taking some drawing classes?
Um, Not really. I don't know. Should I? Why? With talent like this. Um,
They go. You got to move up to the next level.
Mark, tell me about your illustrating journey. Like when you were a kid, like when did you know that you could draw?
Uh, my my time frame for understanding that I had art in my wheelhouse, let's put it that way, was when I was probably in second grade.
And what
And I remember
happened?
I made a yeah. There's a specific thing. I remember making a clay sneaker, like for like it was some ceramics thing they were doing in school, and I remember making a clay. Uh, I think it was a Converse, if I remember correctly, and got a good reaction out of the other kids in the class.
Ah,
That was sort of the precursor to me. Like it was the equivalent of like a little hint of fame sort of
right.
moment, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I should push this, and so I started going a little bit harder into art, or having an understanding that like art was fun, but I had no inkling that art could actually be a career until probably high school. And I had a very, very awesome art teacher named Daniel Craig. Not the Daniel Craig that we all know.
Right. That's not the actor.
He still is an elderly balding man with hair that stuck out of his ears, and so classic James Bond look. And he sat me down and really sort of walked me through a lot of the like, here's different types of artwork that's out there, because I think I had this perception of like fine art was the only way, and that I didn't know what an illustrator was. Like of course we all know what one is without actually knowing it's a job. Like we see kids books and we see comic books and cartoons and things of the sort, but I just had no idea, and he sort of helped me figure that out, and he's the one who actually convinced my parents to let me go to art school.
Huh.
He did this amazing thing where on a day in school they had some conference thing where like they're gonna, if your kids needs to be talked about, you parents go in and they talk to the teacher, and somehow I don't remember what he said to my parents, but he kind of convinced them that there was some issue, and so they came in to talk to him, and instead what he did is he suckered them in so he could try to convince them to send me to art school.
That's what. Gosh, that's so wonderful. What a fantastic story.
Yeah, and like I think my parents are very businessy.
Uh huh.
uh, uh, they have artistic sort of mentality in certain ways, but not necessarily um, in the same capacity that uh, that I do of any sort. But they got convinced, and they let me go to art school, and it was pretty much a no-brainer at that point. Like I wanted to go for illustration, um, but I also did not know I wanted to be in kidlit or that I wanted to be in any of these sort of um, industries that I am now, because I think my only knowledge of illustration was comic books at the time. And so having him be there and tell me about all these different industries, and then getting to college and realizing there was, so many different ventures to go in, like editorial and advertising and surface design and blah 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 blah, made a huge difference in my understanding of what I can get away with in art, and sort of my uh, prospective future. But kidlit did not happen for me until 2015.
And how did it happen?
So I don't know if, I assume Jen never really mentions this anyway. I have two agents.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly. Throw a curveball in there. So I have a art agent that is in Canada that I had before I met Jen. And
yes. So for like editorial, that kind of thing.
yeah, and
Yeah, yeah.
so they had a kidlit. They had kidlit rights in the contract, and I got a deal. A Canadian publisher came to them and said, we want to hire Mark, and that got me interested in, like, should kidlit be a thing for me? And I met Jen, and Jen was like, you should drop your agent and you should do kidlit. And in doing that, I had to convince the old agent, the art agent, to drop the kidlit section. And because Andrea Brown is specifically kidlit, it meant, now I have two agents, and one deals with that specific um, content, and the other one just deals with everything else.
Right.
And
That's not so atypical.
no, it's not. But the challenge is, like, right now it's hard to divide time. Like I probably spend a lot more time on kidlit stuff than I do any sort of editorial work.
Well, I mean, kidlit's more fun.
Yeah, I think it's more naturally me.
Right.
And if I want to do editorial at this point, it's like I want to do editorial for kids. And so it's like I want to do stuff like highlights, or I want to do,
Huh?
like those kind of prompts versus, like, let's find out about the economic structure of some faraway land and,
Yeah.
socioeconomic. Like, I don't. It's fun to do that stuff, but it's not it's not my interest now. Like, I wanna draw weird, cute things, basically.
Yeah.
And so it's been sort of smooth sailing since then. And you mentioned, like, the idea the industry has gotten slower, and yes, it has, for sure, for me. But it's still like I'm putting my money the thing that I really want to do, and if the other stuff rolls in, great. But it's not make or break if I don't get editorial at this point,
Right.
or I don't get the job, just because I enjoy the kidlit side so much.
Can I tell you? I'm gonna tell you one of my favorite kidlit stories,
Okay,
and
go
then I
for it.
want to see if you would share a similar one about yourself, but maybe it's too sensitive a topic. But
No, go.
I need to find something on my desk here. 1 second.
Nothing is too sensitive for me. I'm pretty much an open book.
Okay. So when I was a kid, I'm covering up the name of the illustrator here. So do you see this book, The One Bad Thing About Birthdays?
Yeah.
Can you see
Yep.
it? Do you know whose art this is?
Hold on, let me get a closer look here. No.
Okay. So I was absolutely obsessed with this book when I was a child. I just could not get enough of it. It's black and white with blue. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. It's
Um,
like
and it's about this.
an 80s vibe to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely it's 80s. Actually, let's see what the copyright is.
1983.
1981.
Oh,
Very close.
okay.
And I was just like totally obsessed with this book as a child. And I don't know, however many years ago, I was unpacking like going through old stuff at my parents' house, and I found the book. And I, for the first time, noticed who the illustrator is. Can you see the name on there?
Is it? Wait, it's backwards, so I'm trying to read it. David Collins, illustrated by David. All the letters are backwards on my end, so I'm trying.
Wiesner,
David Weezer. Why do I know the name?
because he's won multiple Caldecots.
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay, so he did Flotsam, like Flotsam.
Oh yeah, okay. I know the one.
So I'm at an SCBWI conference. First of all, I refined this book. I noticed the illustrator. I was like, what? Oh my God, incredible. I'm at this SCBWI conference and he's one of the speakers. And I go up to him. I was like, Mr. Wiesner, I just have to say, I love The One Bad Thing About Birthdays. I was obsessed with that book as a child. And he slaps his hand to his forehead and he's like, that is the one book I'm embarrassed by.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like, that book was so meaningful to me as a kid. And I was shocked to hear his response. And I just thought, I think of it often.
Are you there? Your audio dropped. Jen, if you can hear me, your audio dropped. You may have look at your phone. You may have did you have a notification?
I had a phone call.
Yeah.
I hung it up.
Okay, there you go. I was gonna say that normally is the case. There's some sort of something of that sort. Okay, sorry. So you were surprised by the fact that he
felt so bad about this book because it was such an impact on me as a kid.
Yeah.
And I tell my clients, like, you never know. You don't know the kind of impact you'll have on a kid. And that thing you don't feel good about, or it could be a kid's favorite book.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious if there's some book of yours that maybe it makes you cringe, but it's beloved, or I don't know if you have some kind of similar story like that.
I do have a book that does not get as much play from me. Like I don't go out there and announce the book as much because it's a bad book. Here, I'll go grab it. I think it's.
Why do you say it's a bad book?
Well, it's not a bad book. It is a totally fine book, but the subject matter and the approach is very different from the other stuff that I do. And the reason being is, and this I think has more to do with sort of the selection of me as the illustrator versus not. So there's this book, Hawk's Kettle and Puff and Squeal. Mm-hmm. And at the time I was doing lots of paintings, and I don't think the paintings are bad of any sort. But
not at all. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a fine book. I don't have a problem with the book. The challenge is I am not someone who's a realist. And the project started out, I get to do these books about birds. And I was doing very stylized birds at the time. And then it became, well, we need to pass this by someone who's an expert on birds. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, the feather pattern there that you drew is not quite right.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's a bad book. It's more so it just doesn't fit my vibe in the same way now. And so it's a little hard to sit there and go like, oh, this is the book that represents me.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. That makes sense. That totally makes sense.
And it has not sold in the same way. I mean, part of it, it's a poetry book about birds and migratory patterns and things of the sort and how they fly. So it's not like it's a bestseller in that sense. But it's one of those ones where like you compare that to the other books I've worked on that have silly stories or things of that sort. It just doesn't fit the oeuvre of sort of what I do. But it's still a book I did. I still got paid for it. So I'm not really like upset by it.
I bet there's some kid out there who loves that book.
Yeah, there probably is. I mean, I'm always surprised, to be honest, every time a kid comes up to me and says, oh, I've read your book. And it's not something that was prescribed by the class or what have you. I am always perplexed. Like, how did you find my book? And I know it's not, I know that the books are out there, but it's still just confusing to me that someone would find my book out in the wild. And so like it's always weird to me that someone comes up and will say something along that lines of like, oh, that was my favorite book, or that was my, I read that book so many times, or whatever it is. Just because, and I don't know if there's a relatable thing, but after I'm done with the book, I mean, you know how long it takes. Once the book comes out, I've sort of moved on.
Right, right.
You know, like just it's not like it's a death in the family kind of situation, but I've just by that point it's 2 years potentially later, and I've already
You're
have
over it.
yeah I'm making different aesthetic choices. I'm making different decisions about where I want to go with my artwork, and so it's a little hard to sit there and just go, yeah, this is my favorite book in the world.
Right.
And I think that's okay, and I've heard that from other people too, that I don't think it's that that strange of a concept to sort of move on, or to
Oh, no, not at all. Of course not.
yeah. um I mean, I hope that like in mentioning certain books or things like that, or the that side of those books not being like stellar, that publishers don't go like, oh, I'd never work with them again. But
No.
at a point that
Uh-oh. Are you there? Mark? I can't hear Mark. Oh, Mark, I lost you for a while.
oh, my sound dropped. Let me hold on a
Okay,
second. Hold on a second. Am I
you're
you can
back.
hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Hold on one second. Lauren, can you hear me up there? I just there's a delay on the feed, and I may have had a notification pop up. I'm waiting to see if my wife. Okay, I'm back. Okay. Um, I don't remember what I was saying, but so there is Brian Biggs just said, "Tell us a story, Jen." I don't know what that means. Um,
I'll tell you a story. You gotta tell me what.
yeah.
Oh, geez, Louise. Now tell me what kind of story you want.
Well, okay. So tell me, do you have, and maybe this is in that same vein, um, do you have like fandom of people, or like do you what do they call it? Do you fangirl over any in particular illustrators or artists when you meet them? Because obviously you met a lot of people
Um,
digitally, but like, do you get nervous talking to any of the artists or authors that are out there?
Absolutely. Ask me who right now. I don't even know. But absolutely. Who I think there's a part of me that's just so used to it now, and I am not afraid to reach out to people or talk to people. Like even adult authors, I've read their books. I really, if I really loved it. There's an adult author named Kevin Wilson. A couple of years ago, I got into a phase of just like I read 3 or 4 of his books in a row, and I was just emailing him. I sent him an email, and I was like, "Hey, I really dig your books," and I whatever. I ended up sending his kids a box of books,
Yeah,
and I had no fear doing it. I think honestly, I have an agency email address, so I don't look like some random necessarily,
yeah,
right? So that gives me a
a little
confidence boost.
clout
Um,
to
yeah, to be able to reach out to
yeah,
people. I think I've gotten to the point now where it doesn't matter what your success or status might be within the kidlit industry. People still worry. They still maybe don't feel like they're successful, or they don't necessarily have the confidence, and I think people like hearing it. They like being told someone liked their book. And so I make no qualms about it anymore to reach out to someone and just be like, I loved that. And I see other agents posting books on Instagram, and that books that I really like. And every time it pops up in my feed, I will put a comment. We love this book so much in the house. This is one of my favorite books. I just have no qualms now on telling people when I think their work is
did
great.
you have more concerns about that when you first started out? Like,
Probably.
was yeah, was there a nervousness of like How do I talk to this person?
Oh my gosh, I used to, so in like the early days of going to SCBWI conferences, like the big LA conference, I would come home and I would tell whomever, friends, family, whatever, whoever the
Yeah.
boyfriend was, or now my husband, whatever. I'd be like, I cannot believe I'm in the room with these people. I can't believe the people that I am like talking to and surrounded by, like almost like I didn't feel like I belonged there.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way anymore at all. I feel like this is my community. So I don't think I have the same kind of fear or self-consciousness about it.
Yeah.
I think I now feel comfortable enough to, and I think also comes with age or experience, right? Just the confidence to be like, you're awesome. You're incredible. Wow. This is fantastic. Um,
I
I think,
still. Oh, go ahead.
yeah.
Please go ahead.
I was going to say, like, I think that I might be more intimidated by people in the adult space, even though I just told a story about how I'm not intimidated. I think I would be more intimidated by people in the adult space.
You meaning like adult authors and things of the sort?
Yeah, there is a very famous um women's lit author who lives in my neighborhood, and our kids went to school together for a time. I did not know who this person was when our kids were I actually hadn't heard of her because I don't read that kind of material. And she ended up at my house several times for parties, and I was at her house, and I was nervous every single time. And like, for no good reason, I'd never even read one of her
Yeah.
books, but I just know what a powerhouse she is. And she was actually lovely and was like telling me about what it's like in her position and what her agent does and all this stuff, whatever. But every time I felt like I couldn't open my mouth. I was just so intimidated. And she's incredibly lovely.
I I still remember to this day the first time that um I was sort of starstruck. Uh, I was at a SCBWI conference and Dan Santat was there, and I remember talking to him like for a hot second the after his talk, and I still remember being very awkward. And now like I talk to him online, and there's it's I won't really have as much issue, but I there is still a presence, like being in the presence of someone and having that conversation is still a little awkward. And I part of it I think is just social anxiety on my part.
Sure.
Um, but I do think that as time goes on, like after meeting people through this, like doing Gavin Doodles with people and whatnot, that there is less pressure to be perfect or to like, I don't have to impress in the same way that I did when I was starting out of like, well, I don't want to say impress, but to give some sort of like, I don't think clout is as much of a concern for me as it was back in the day, uh, where I was trying to like make a name for myself.
Right.
Um, and it's a whole lot easier to just go out there and be like, oh yeah, I'm friends with so and so, and we've talked about you, and it'd be cool to chat with you about this or whatever it may be as time goes on. But
Dan is one of the nicest guys. It's fine. We actually came up together like at the same time. I remember he was sort of this newer illustrator at the critique table behind me at SBWI because Rofé sans hat. So they had us in alphabetical order. And I remember we were chatting then, and he was sort of on the rise, but he's an absolute buddy. I adore Dan. He's the nicest guy. In fact, I'll show you something kind of funny. Back in 2018, I don't even remember how this happened anymore, but somehow there was some competition with like Dan and Renee Carilla and me and someone else, I don't know, to draw portraits of each other. I can't remember the exact details. So I ended up doing a portrait of Dan, and I keep it under the plastic on my desk because it is, I think, one of the best things I've ever drawn. And I just cleaned my whole desk today, actually, because I'm in the
yeah,
moving back in process. So I'm gonna disconnect here, and I'm gonna show you my. Hold
your
on.
version of Dan.
Yeah, is this right?
Is it
No.
all?
What are you? Is that it?
I see what do I see there? I don't know
Hmm.
what I'm seeing. Oh, there you
Let
go.
me do it this way. One second. Okay.
Oh
There's
yeah,
Dan.
I've seen this. Where have I seen this?
Probably online.
Okay.
So there's Dan. And then Renee, I don't know if this was part of the same, I don't know if this was the same competition or not, but I have this
Oh,
from Renee. This is what I used to look like when I had bangs. So anyway, there's
Dan.
Dan. And um,
It's just
funny
got to
enough,
have a lot of
I
eyebrows. That's
what was
the.
that?
It's just got to have a lot of eyebrows.
Yes.
And it's distinctly him at that point. I still remember when I talked to him the first time. Uh, I was so nervous. I was trying to like be relatable in some way, and I was telling him about the people that I knew in the industry because I you must know who Jarrett
Of
Krasaska
course.
is. He was my roommate in college,
Oh,
and so
wow.
like it's one of those things where like uh, people knew who he was, so I was always like bringing up, oh yeah, I went to school with Jarrett, and like now I look back at it, I'm like, why do I have to say that?
Right,
Why
right,
am I
right,
trying to
right.
impress him with a name?
Right.
Um, but I made decisions in my life that I regret. That's one of them. Was trying
That's
to
a
impress
pretty
with
much
the
that's
name.
the minor regret though. I got to tell you,
Yeah,
of like all the things
yeah.
that
Well, yeah, yeah. It's there's I wasn't addicted to drugs or anything like
right.
that. It was yeah. Could have been far worse. Could have been far.
Yeah, that's a pretty minor regret. Uh, I was going to say something now I don't recall. I think I am. I actually need some advice here,
Okay.
Mark. So I'm quite pleased with what I've done here, but I recognize that there's a problem, and the problem is that I have this kid sitting behind this table. Oh, I need the back of a chair, is what I need. Okay, I figured that
Okay.
out. But I'm not
Okay.
quite sure what you do about the bottom of the chair here because you know what I've done is I've made the table in such a peculiar shape for I realize now what my mistake was. All I had to do was tell you I had a problem and I had just talk it
Yeah.
out and then I can figure out what the
Your
problem is.
your picture is upside down, or wait, where are your hands
Oh,
coming
my
from?
phone, my here. Is my phone upside down?
All I know is the picture is upside down
All right,
that
we'll
you're
fix
drawing,
that.
but you could have it flipped the other way.
We'll fix that.
Yeah, drawing. To be honest, one of the things that that's perfect. One of the things that I have the hardest time doing when I'm working on artwork is planning ahead to the point where in like if I am drawing a table to realize, oh man, I have to draw all the legs of the chairs and all the feet and everything for all the people that are sitting there. Or even worse, I know there's a lot of illustrators that avoid crowds because you have to draw everybody in the crowd, but you also in all those gaps in between, you have to draw what's actually there. And so you can't just say, oh, there's it's just the background between. You actually have to draw like the people, their pants or their arms or whatever you would see behind or through the, in between people. And so that's always a huge, huge pain. And I try to avoid
Yes.
it like the plague.
So I'm wondering now how I get myself out of this pickle because I need to draw the legs of the chair. But you
So,
don't necessarily need to see her feet because
no,
sometimes I sit crisscross
she's,
applesauce on a chair.
yeah, she's
Perhaps she's
little. So
sitting.
if you have the chair come down like this, or the table come down like this, what I would do is one, you could probably draw, some legs to the chair, and then I'm making it a little bit longer in the front to give some perspective. The
Ah,
legs are in the back, but then one way to make it, because it could look like it's floating if you don't
right.
have something there. And so one of the ways is just to draw a little bit of shadow where the feet are touching the ground.
You know who I learned that from? Mike Bolt. He didn't teach that to me specifically, but sometimes when he's making something or if like if a publisher is sends some kind of like marketing material, he'll be like, "Yeah, that's fine. You can use that, but let me add some shadow at the bottom or it looks like it's floating." And I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I learned that from Mike Bolt."
I
You know
have.
who I used to get intimidated by was editors. When I would go to my New York meetings, especially early in my career, I would be so intimidated talking to certain editors. Like there was a very well-known editor named Wendy Lamb, and I couldn't believe Wendy Lamb took me to lunch, and I was like, oh my God, I had lunch with Wendy Lamb. Like I was so nervous about meeting certain editors, and now I'm not.
Is with, like going out to those events. I know that that's a challenge for me because I always feel like I'm like having to perform in a way. Like going out, like Jen will have, I forget what it was, the oh man, what was it that was up here in Boston this year that you went to? I want to say it was some librarian, or no, it was some educators conference that was in Boston. And then she had a bunch of people out for dinner afterwards, all of her clients. And there is this like, I'm not intimidated by the people of any sort at that dinner, but there is this like, I have to be on best
Behavior.
behavior. Yeah.
Right.
And so like it's not like, oh no, they're gonna judge me of any sort, but it's just like I can't slouch. And I like there's a performance issue that comes into play in
Huh.
that situation.
And
Um
is it because of the other clients who are there, or because just other people generally,
I
or
think it's just because it's a professional environment
right?
of sorts, or at least that's the way that it registers in my head of like I can't make crude jokes.
Right.
I can't look stupid, um, even though that's very hard to prevent at this point. I mean, literally, the books that I've worked on have titles like poop or
Yes.
whale vomit and that kind of stuff in it. It's not like
Right.
doing super highbrow stuff, but in those events, I need to act like I know my
Well, but
stuff.
you know what? There is value to for people. There's value to people remembering that you are a professional and you are at professional events.
Yeah.
I have seen from agents, from editors, from creators. I have seen really unprofessional behavior at conferences. And remember, this is actually your workplace.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the other thing too is what's weird is like I am very goofy outside of um, like I dance around in my house and sing and when I'm teaching I make a bunch of dumb jokes the entire time and tease people and whatnot. But you get me in that environment, and I I don't know if this happens to you or if it happens to just me, but I tend to want to I don't want to be seen as uh, unknowledgeable.
Sure.
And so like even sometimes people will say like, "Hey, do you know the artist blah blah blah?" And I'll go, "Oh yeah, 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 yeah," even though I may not know who it is, because I don't want to be seen as like, you teach college art and you don't know who this artist is? How dare you?
Mark, let it go. I've
I
stopped
know,
caring.
no, it's so
I've
dumb.
totally 100% stopped caring. People all the time say this or that. Oh, sorry, I don't know who that
Yeah,
is. I don't know what that is. Like what, like who cares, Mark? Who
it's
cares?
I think it's instilled in me from my parents.
Yeah,
Of they're the business type of like you need to impress your client.
right.
And so see, therapy, it always ends up being therapy in here.
That's great
um
though. I love it, right?
yeah, so tell me a little bit about sort of like when you are making uh decisions about like not just clients, but like you're helping clients with their drafts of books,
Yes.
things of the sort. um are there challenges of you, like obviously a artist or a writer whatever is going to have their own voice,
Yeah.
but then you're helping with that editing, the early editing phase before you
Hmm.
put it out on sub. Is there challenges of trying to like manage what your expectations are versus what theirs are versus what a publisher would look for?
All the time.
And how
All the
do you
time. How do you broach that, right?
yeah how
Like
do
how do you um okay, I'm actually in it right now with a client. And it's not a challenge. This is someone who I've represented for many years. I really have, I'm just going to say they just to hide the person's identity, but um, there is, I've worked with this writer for many, many years. I really have a handle on how they write and what their story, when their stories are working versus when they're not, and they're trying to write something with a bit of like an irreverent voice,
okay.
and a certain like emotional quality, but it's not, I don't think it's right for the kids market. So like, yes, there's something in the story, yes, there's something with the character, yes, but now you have to figure out the tone of this in order for it to be appealing to kids, right? Like you've got to remember who your audience is.
Yeah.
And some of this isn't going to work for kids. So oftentimes it's just conversation. It's just, and sometimes, not even sometimes, I am honest with my clients. I am direct and blunt. I don't know how to not be, but I don't ever aim to be unkind or cruel. And sometimes it's just a matter of like, look, I really am not confident that this is going to work. And I think we should put this aside. Or sometimes it's a matter of, okay, let's get it out there and let's see what happens. And then we see what the response is like from editors. I have definitely been proven wrong. Um, and I have certainly been proven right often.
Well, like, so here, like one of the challenges that I've run into is the type of voice that I like to put in my work, and this may be what you're talking about, is like, for some reason I always hear sort of a salesman, like a, a carnival barker, a snake oil salesman, sort of like fast talking, jive kind of like element to it. But I also know that little kids have no idea
I don't know what that
what,
is.
yeah, they don't know what that is. And so like,
Right.
how do I navigate that? Or, it's this challenge of the vision that I have in my head makes total sense. And then when you put it in that context of, oh, there's little kids, how do I get them excited about this? And all of a sudden it starts to fall apart pretty quick,
Mm-hmm.
of sort of, making them understand, the context. Like they're not going to get, oh, do you remember laughing?
Right.
Like that's not,
Right. Right. That's nothing to them.
yeah, that doesn't mean anything. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to like figure out how to write in a voice that is uh, challenging for like just above their level,
Right.
and then the
Right.
educational sort of side. Like I don't want to dumb it down to a point where it's like everything just has to be the same as everything else that's out there. But like the equivalent of one of the things that I was working on, and I'm trying to navigate this at some point, and Jen has um, thrown me a challenge. I wrote this manuscript that I won't say what it's about because I don't want to ruin the element. But it's one of my favorite things I've written, but it's also super long. It's
Mm-hmm.
4,000 words long, roughly.
Whoa, Mark.
Yes, but I know. And so she wants it shorter, which obviously totally makes sense. But I also don't want to ruin the tone of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like there's this challenge of the voice in my head, like it needs this slow cadence.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been trying to define it in my head as like it is a picture book that needs a bookmark
Uh-huh.
in a way. And I
It's a
don't know
storybook.
yeah, it's got a different title to it in a way. But I also don't want to do a graphic novel with it. I don't want to do a chapter book in the same way, but I'm trying to figure out like what is this weird balance of it, but also not lose the voice. And to me, that's super, super challenging. One, because I didn't train in writing. And two, because it's just, the idea of edits is the hardest part. I'm a talker.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've heard that. You've seen that already. I'm a talker. Uh, so trying to get me to slow down on use of words is going to be hard. Do you, when you read through stuff, are you a fast reader? You must be a fast reader, right?
For queries, I'm a fast reader. I
What,
mean, I might be, I'm not like the fastest reader, but I'm not a slow I don't know. It's hard. I don't know who I'm comparing myself to in terms of
yeah.
saying, am I a fast reader?
I'm just thinking the amount of stuff you have in front of you to read constantly
Yes.
must be a
Yeah,
lot.
it's a lot. It's a lot. Um, picture books are fast to read, but I actually have to read a picture book text, right? Like a client text many times over and over again. I have to put it aside and let it marinate. I
Yeah.
have to, I have to just let it live in my head for a bit before, oftentimes that's what I have to do, right? Oftentimes if I'm going to send that comment, I'm like, okay, hold on. This is what the email usually goes like. It's usually like, okay, something is nagging at me. I don't know what it is. Give me a minute and I'll come back to you. And then it just
Yeah.
sort of sits in my brain and I figure out, this is the thing that was nagging at me. Um, but I have to give it some space to,
Yeah.
for my brain to process it.
You have to give it
You know,
time.
yeah, a middle grade manuscript, I'm going to read through once fairly slowly. I'm going to read it again later a little more quickly, right? Because I'm looking for different things every time.
Is it something that, like, because I am not, this is gonna sound awful as an author, but I am not a reader. I am a looker more.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that sounds nice. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
looker. Um,
Yeah.
but it's that idea of like, I will read stories, but I generally only read picture books at this point now.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I also get so caught up in the visuals. Like, just being an artist, it's hard not, like, I cannot go to the library and pick up a book that is ugly, if that makes any sense. It's hard for me to get over bad artwork, even if the
I will
story is
pick
amazing.
up, I'll do the opposite. I'll pick up what I consider an ugly book because I want to see
Yeah. Wow.
why did this get published? Like, what am I not understanding? What am I missing?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's a good, actually, a very good mindset to go into that. I just know when I was like, when my son was really little and I'd go to the library, I'd go look at all the new books and I'd put back so many of them because I'm just like, I can't spend that many hours of my life reading these books and being turned off by the visuals
Right.
that
Yeah.
are there.
Yeah. But see, again, I'm coming at it from this other perspective of like, what about this is appealing to
Yeah,
kids? What is in there for me to consider?
that we're missing, or that we're yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's funny because I know that it's the wrong sentiment. Like, there's plenty of, especially like older books that are before my time, that visually are not my sort of wheelhouse that I generally gravitate towards, but are classics. Like,
Uh-huh.
I'll be blunt on this one. Like, Goodnight Moon, not really my visual jam.
Oh,
Uh,
oh, really? Interesting.
but I understand it as a classic, and so I'm like, there's a certain threshold of where I'm willing to like let go of
Sure.
that and say like, oh, this is a classic. Like Maurice Sendak. No, I'm
Hmm.
not a big Maurice Sendak fan.
Oh
He's
gosh,
not.
Mark, this is getting really interesting,
It,
this conversation.
it's just, there's a certain dated look
Uh-huh.
to it that I want, the more like weird, freaky, like
Sure.
uh, 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 William Steig. Like,
Uh-huh.
I want things that are a little bit out
Yeah.
there. And
Yes.
so it's hard for me to look at things that are traditional and go, oh, that's what I really, really
But
love.
but if you think about it too, like what made it become traditional? Like if you're looking at Maurice Sendak, I think at
Yeah.
the time was not
Oh, totally,
traditional.
totally. I absolutely understand that. I think it's just me having this like predisposed notion of uh, I need to it needs to be perfect for me to look at it, and that's not always the greatest thing
Right.
to visually
Yeah. Well,
sort of stick with.
yeah. I love weird art. I love weird. Oh, I like things that are weird.
Yeah, my so I had on Travis Yonker. I don't know
Uh-huh.
why I would Yonker uh, on last week, and he does that 100 scope
Yep.
notes on School Library Journal. He has the unconventional list, and he does that every year. And my wife and I just go through those books like one after another of like, oh, this one's brilliant, this one's so weird and out there, and knowingly though, most kids probably don't
Exactly.
gravitate towards those.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
They're the weird ones. They're the ones that are like, they're weird for a reason, but they're
Yeah.
they're almost sold to adults more than they are to the kids.
Yep.
And so I have weird perception issues on that. Um, Look at how the hair on your little girl is so cute with the little what do you call it? Not pigtails, because
Yeah,
there's
little pigtails and
uh,
a little. I 100% stole it from Marla Frazee. But again, I was just using my resources.
I'm drawing
Um,
a kid that has broccoli hair. I started drawing
oh,
four
that's
different.
clever because I was liking the hair. That makes sense. That is good. But
Uh,
your kid looks like, he doesn't look upset about the broccoli.
oh, he doesn't have eyebrows yet.
Ah,
The
that's it.
eyebrows are
I
going to play a part.
If I can pull this off, what I want to do in this window of mine is like kids playing in the background. And the idea is that she can't go out and play until she's eaten her plate of broccoli.
Ah, oh, that's good.
But
That's good.
I,
Got the
you
narrative.
know,
That's that narrative twist of like this has to happen for.
this to happen, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
but
Got
it might be stretching myself a little too much because I don't know how to draw kids. It's exhausting, Mark. I don't know how to draw
it.
kids playing in the background.
I keep trying to figure out. Well, yeah, that is a very dangerous move because once you start saying there's going to be kids in the background, now you have to draw multiple and
Yeah.
match styles, and I've made too many unwise decisions in books in the past that I'm always hesitant to put more than a few characters on a page. Uh, my wife just said she's seen a lot of teen boys with broccoli shaped hair lately. Uh, how old are your kids?
9 and 6, almost
Oh,
7.
so they're like right in this wheelhouse too. Do they benefit from you with all the books that you have in your house? And
Oh my gosh. They I think they love my job as much as I love my job. Um
that'll change.
it's really fun. And I show them projects before I sell them all the time. Just like, oh hey, look at this thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I even will, when I'm pitching something, I'll be like, my kids absolutely loved this. Like they keep asking me to read them this thing. I have one project that I've still not sold. It's so frustrating. It's so completely zany and nutty. And I've still not sold it, even though my kids would ask me over and over and over to read them this picture book manuscript. And I have said that in my pitch. Like I have read this,
Yeah.
umpteen times, and they
Yeah.
think it's hilarious and weird every time. And it's just they don't care. The publishers don't care. But there have been times where it's made a difference. Where I can tell the publisher, my kid is reciting this line. There's a book by my client. Oh, I'll pull it out. I'll just show the cover real fast. Gotta find it. 1 second. Um, Here it is. So I have a writer named Chelsea Lynn Wallace. I don't know if you can see it. The book is called Dare to be Daring.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh. And is it right way? Yeah. And
Yes. Yes.
and um I was out with the text, and there was this like refrain in it about today I will dare to be daring. And my older daughter, she was I think probably 4 at the time, and I had read it to her, and we went on a walk at this little park area, and there was this like a tree that had fallen, and so it's just like this big rotting log, and kids like climbing on it and walking on, balancing on it. And she had always been afraid to do it, and she decided to do it, and she said, today I will dare to be daring.
Oh.
And she walked across the log, and I was like, I'm putting that in my pitch, and I included that on my pitch, and it worked.
Oh. The that idea of I it's funny because I know it's part of it and I know that my brain should know this, but the idea that like you have to make a bit of a pitch in the sale or in the sub list, like
Yes.
here's why you should like this, and it's not just the author doing it all the time is something I would not have thought about all that much. Like Jen has something of mine out on sub, and I'm interested if I could see behind the scenes, sort of like what's she telling people about this one, because
Yeah.
it's a weird one. It is a strange one, but it's funny and
She's probably telling them that. She's probably like, it's weird and it's strange, but it's
yeah,
really funny.
yeah. I hope everybody that I read it to cracked up at a certain
Yeah.
point. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that pays off of some sort. Um, the when you get a manuscript uh, from a illustrator, do you ever have that question of is the book right for them?
When I
In the sense
get a
of like,
manuscript from an illustrator or
yeah,
for an illustrator?
from an author illustrator. So like I was talking with Travis last week about this, the idea of like he's illustrated a couple of his own books, but he's also written a bunch that other people have illustrated.
Oh, I see what you mean. Um,
Is there ever
oh, good
is it
question. Yes,
right thing?
actually, yes, I have. In fact, that weird book that I was talking about that I'm on Subway that I just is not sold. Um, a different illustrator did sample art for it because I did not think that the illustrator's art was right for it.
Yeah.
And every time I read this text, I just kept seeing this other illustrator's art in my head. So I shared the text with that illustrator, and they loved it. They said it was hilarious. And they did a sample piece for it. 2 sample pieces for it actually, I think. And it's still not worked in this case, which I can't give up on this one
Yeah.
though. I can't even tell you like how many places I've been and I just can't give up on it.
What,
I just,
what's
oh,
the longest you've had something out there that you're like that you've been pushing?
4 years.
Wait, how many years?
4.
4. Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
my
that's long.
longest sale, the longest sale I've ever, I had 2 books. It took 4 years to sell and they ultimately sold. And the fastest book I ever sold was 1 hour. And it was a book for Mike Bolt. And it ended up going to auction, 5 house auction. And funnily enough, it's one of his books that still has not earned out. It's not even his most successful book. So I just say that because sometimes people are so jazzed about auctions, but it's no guarantee that your book is going to end up doing well. But selling a book in an hour really skewed my expectations. And to this day, sometimes I send something out and like an hour later, I'm like, why don't I have an offer yet? Where's my offer on this book?
How long? How long? Yeah, I mean, that's a question right now. Like when I signed with Jen, I got a 2 book deal right away, basically. Like within a few days of me sending a manuscript, we had a 2 book deal. But then I have not authored anything since in a long time because I've been too busy or I've been working on other people's books and whatnot. And now that something's out on sub, I have no concept of how long from when it goes out should you expect to hear something back.
It's, Mark, you can't even talk today about publishing in the same way. It does not look how it looked in 2019. I mean, even part of 2020. The amount of time it's taking to get responses is terrible. This has been across the board for a couple years now. Like, there was some point like I think we had talked about the agency. We were like, we know we're like all on the publishing ship, but we don't recognize the ship we're on anymore. Like where are
Yeah.
we? And we've had to sort of get a new lay of the land.
Do you have any idea
It's
why? Like what the
Yes, I have lots of ideas why. But I think one of the big theories that we all discuss, agents and editors alike, is that there's been a lot of contraction in the industry, and that means fewer editors.
Okay. Yeah.
But then there are now more agents than there were before, and that means more submissions going to fewer people,
Mm,
and that has had a real impact on it's a domino effect, the backlog now
yeah.
for editors. And it's bad. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's bad. And I feel like I've just been a broken record for the last few years with clients. Like, it's very bad out there. It's very competitive. Everything is taking so much longer than it should. I'm even just going through a rigmarole right now with a picture book text. I'm like on the verge of selling, but it was like, and it's to a major publisher, but it was like, we love it. Can she tweak it? Okay, yes. Okay, she tweaked it. Okay, we love it. I've got to take it to this meeting. Okay, we love it,
Yeah.
but now I need like 7 months before anything can happen. Right? It's just been absolute bonkers. I have a different project. It's a middle grade. It's fantastic, and it's with an editor who is in the position of being able to acquire. It's basically her imprint. She can acquire when she wants, so she does
Yeah.
have some. There's some supervision, like there's oversight, and she wants to acquire this, but she is waiting for the right moment because of all of the middle grades that have been shot down at her publishing house. And she is like waiting for the right timing to take this to an acquisitions meeting so that it doesn't get shot down. And we're just working in a completely different landscape now.
It's interesting. Like I've heard that slowdown thing on a variety of different levels, and I know that like Jen told me early on too with the pandemic that like there's a backlog just because of people buying. They bought so much, and then the supply chain and all sorts of things like just wreaked havoc on stuff, and so there's like yeah, it's everything is pushed out
Yep.
a ways, and you're fighting against a lot more people to be seen.
Yep.
Once was a a totally different market. And I assume because you rode through the 2008 market too.
I have not seen it. The last time I saw it this bad was 2008.
Yeah,
That's what I tell people. The last time I saw things this bad was 2008.
yeah, that totally makes sense. Just the type of things that I'm hearing and whatnot. And as a illustrator who banks on some of the finances of this, it does worry me a little bit. But at the same time,
Yep.
I know that the pendulum will swing back another direction, or
Correct.
will correct itself in some way. And it's not like it's no books are getting sold out there, but there definitely are um, uh, less.
I'm finding like I feel like it's harder to break someone out right now. That there is a reliance on what is known, what is
Yeah.
tested, what is
Yep.
trusted. But breaking someone out is proving more challenging. At least for me, this is my experience right now. Um, oof, it's just hard out there.
It,
It's really tricky.
do you think that given time that it will come back?
Yeah.
And
I think so. But who wants to wait around? Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
painful to wait around. Even financially, creatively, emotionally, all these ways. It's painful to wait around for something to course correct.
I'm looking at your drawing here. I love the wood play. You got kids in the back. I just
I
I
did. I'm trying to. Yeah, I have them both jump roping, which I don't know if I like that. So I'm trying to think. I'd like someone playing ball, but that feels a little
well,
complicated.
I was gonna say, do you want another prompt to move? Because I'm
Yeah, give me one more. I've
one
got
more.
about 20 minutes in me, and then I
Okay.
gotta, I gotta,
So
I don't know.
let's see what I'm trying to think of a prompt that we can pull from what we were even talking about. Well, some of that's like business. I don't want to do business. Okay. Um, I'm gonna ask you a question. You need to answer these two things, and I will decide accordingly.
Okay.
What is your favorite animal?
Oh gosh, I don't want to tell you because,
An,
probably an elephant.
an elephant. Okay.
Yeah.
So we are going to draw a mouse.
Okay.
I was going to do the opposite of whatever you said. Okay.
Okay.
And we need a profession.
Um. Oh man. Okay. A doctor.
Okay. So what's the opposite of a doctor? Uh, a mouse.
A destroyer. Someone who
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
destroys things.
Uh, a mouse. Well, let's
Oh,
do
with
this.
like a wrecking ball, like driving one of those
Okay.
crane
Okay.
things with a wrecking ball on the end.
Sure.
I like how complicated I just made that for
Well,
myself.
I was gonna say a mouse with a broken leg.
Oh, oh, okay. Yeah, I could do that.
Okay. Let's do
Okay,
it.
you know what I'm going to try to do with this, Mark? I'm going to try to not do it like straight on. I'm going to try to do it like at that
Oh, a
angle
little
for,
3/4.
yeah, I'm gonna try that. I'm starting to say with some hesitancy. I'm looking around my office right now for some kind of help. About 3/4. Oh my God.
It does
Look at,
shapes. Just think shapes.
that's what I'm thinking. Shapes, but you have to do them at like, oh boy.
I don't know if I can help you this time because you've been knocking them out of the park, and we're getting down to competition time. And
Um, a mouse with a broken leg. Should we make this the official
this,
competition?
okay,
Okay.
sure. This is a official competition.
But
20 minutes.
okay, you got all these fancy materials over there. Okay, but okay, Mark. But if this is going to be a real competition, you've got to do just like a pencil.
Oh, okay. We can do that, and then
Okay.
I'll turn it into a piece afterwards.
Yeah, you turn to a piece after.
Okay.
A mouse with a broken leg. So here's what I do. I always at the top. Oh, my pencil broke. Hold on.
Mouse with a broken leg. Can I use colored pencil?
Um,
Regular,
no,
regular. Okay,
regular pencil.
regular.
No advantages. We're at
Okay,
even playing field.
okay. That's
I
fine.
mean, as even as level as this playing field can be, given who I'm up against here. Okay.
Okay.
So I have to write. So I write at the top a mouse.
Okay. Oh, are we supposed to write that? I'll write that. A mouse with a broken.
Am I still there?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. This pencil is being complicated. Okay, a mouse with a broken leg. Okay. And then I write draw off with Mark. Are you two H's? I'm sorry, two F's.
Two F's, two N's.
Okay, two N's. You
Yeah,
said like Nancy. Okay,
yeah.
with
Two F's.
Mark Hoffman,
It's extra
and
German.
it's extra German. And then I write today's date, which is June 1925. Okay, so and now and then what you're gonna have to do is like send me a screenshot of yours or
I'll send it to you.
okay.
I'll, I'll send you.
A mouse.
I'll send you the dump truck or the little turkey.
Great. Okay. A mouse with a broken leg, draw off with Mark Hoffman. And now you draw, but you cannot peek. So
Okay.
you can't look at mine and I can't look at yours.
Here's. I will turn off the feed for the time being. Then.
What does that
So
mean?
I have a screen up right now so I can see what we're both doing.
Ah. Oh,
Um,
that's so clever because I've been craning my neck underneath to like
yeah.
look at things.
I have
Okay.
a very old iPad that does that for me.
Ah.
Uh,
Okay. Okay, a mouse. I have to draw a mouse. All right. Well, all right. Here we go. Oh boy, Mark.
oh,
Let's see. They have
already.
four. They have two arms. They have two arms. They have two arms and two legs.
Two arms, two
Okay.
legs, and a
A
tail.
head. They
Big
have
as
a head. They have a tail. Uh, okay, so something like this, and it's going to be something like this. But that three-quarter thing, I think Mary Peterson. Someone taught me how to do that one time, but I don't. I don't quite know how to do that. Oh boy. Oh my God, what does a mouse look like? They have cute little ears. They have those ears. Oh, that's not right.
I love the talking
Yeah,
through it.
I'm gonna talk through this. Oh my gosh, I can see it in my head. I know exactly what I want to do. Um, but the doing is a different thing.
I'm gonna
It's gonna
now.
be.
Am I allowed to talk about what I'm drawing here?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can, as long as you don't give me any hints.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then I won't. I won't.
Oh my gosh, you might have broken me. Okay. There's a tail. Okay, so there's gonna be a tail. How would that look if I were a kidlit artist and I was drawing a mouse? It would be like this. It would have its arms.
I just love the like.
I'm talking this out. Here's its body. Okay, let's give it the body. I'm just gonna talk this out. I have
That's
to talk
fine.
this out while I'm doing it.
Fine.
Okay, it would be something like this, but then it would have its arms. But like, what the heck does a mouse arm look like? Um,
Furry.
I want it like this, and then it's like leaning. This is like a crutch. You know what?
Can I?
If any of my clients, my illustrators are watching this, I really want them to email me feedback later about like they need to tell me that did a really good job. You hear that, everyone? You need to say, I'm proud of you
They're
for doing this.
for, for trying.
Ye-
For it's
Yes,
a
for
competition
trying.
now, so I'm gonna talk trash for you trying to even attempt to come into my wheelhouse.
I did. I'm trying. I know. You want to be an agent for a couple hours one day? Like we could do an opposite.
Oh, I would start selling my deals so quick. Uh, go out there now. It's okay if I'm using an eraser, correct?
Of course, you can erase. Yes, you can
Okay.
erase all you need. Um, this is looking a little human, which isn't right.
It's okay. They're personified.
Yeah. You know
Personified.
what I'm imagining? What I'm trying to imagine in my head right now. Do you know the cornbread and poppy books?
Yes.
I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like trying to be inspired by them, like in my mind. Also, you can't use a reference, just
Oh,
FYI. So you
not.
can't like. Okay.
I'm not.
Um,
I'm not one to use reference to begin with.
like how do you give them cute? How do you make mouse arms cute? Like how do you do their hands? Probably four fingers, like a.
Yeah, I would not do five.
No, that's creepy, right?
I'd keep it. Yeah, yeah. It's going to be a little much. In fact, I realized on the feet I gave three, which is probably even creepier.
Okay, I'm gonna get somewhere with this. I am gonna get somewhere. You can't see though. I'm getting
Oh,
nowhere, but I'm gonna get
I
somewhere.
imagine it's stunning. I'm gonna
Aw,
turn
that's
on
so nice.
my feed, and the whole screen's gonna blow up because
How old are your kids?
I have the 12-year-old,
You
just
said
the
12-year-olds.
yeah,
Oh, that's right. You said he's going into seventh grade.
yeah.
That's right.
He's big into D&D right
Oh,
now.
that's cool.
And so he's storytelling. He did not like storytelling and working on stories of any sort. Like writing was his least favorite thing in the world. And then D&D came about, and now all of a sudden it's hard to get him to stop trying to come up with characters and things of the sort. It's been a real good um, practice for him understanding how to write stories. Even he had some, like, I forget what the assignment was, but it was some like um, sort of like you have to do this testing on your writing skills, and we were talking to him about how there's a way to bend the story so it will be a D&D story if he wants. Like he can make it magical if he just has the right sort of mindset to it, and so it made a huge difference for him.
That's
Uh,
fantastic.
yeah, no, it's been.
What is he watching?
What is he watching?
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
I say that with some despair there.
Freaking
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah, he spends a lot of time watching. Now he does watch some like sciency, like do you know who Mark Rober is?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Actually, are your kids boys, girls? You said a girl
Girl,
for
two
one.
girls.
Two girls. Okay, I don't know if it would be the same interest level because I know it should be but it's a lot of science stuff. But I'm not saying that. I want to make sure I'm not trying to sound gendered in
I
that.
know, I know. My kids like science stuff. They totally like
Yeah,
science stuff, especially the science of slime. That's like my life right
yeah.
now.
Mark Rober does this thing where he sends out kits, and then you can build a kit like a disc launcher or I'm trying to think what he had one that was like a code system that used essentially like fiber optics.
My kids would love that. I'm actually
Yeah,
gonna look. I might
it's
ask you to send me a link or something.
yeah. I'm trying. If my wife, she might put it in the comments, or she could yell down at me. Um, it's not Tinker Crate, I don't think. But it's really good. At the end, they have videos that explain all the science behind it. And then Crunch Labs.
All right,
That's
I'm
what it is.
writing this down.
Yeah.
Thank you, Crunch Labs.
And
All right.
all the little videos. He has a bunch of little videos that he does that sort of like play into that um, in some way, and it's very very like smart, intelligent science, but also with some building and like what do I want to call it, like uh, industrial design elements that get thrown in. It's pretty cool, honestly.
That's cool.
So that's he watches a lot of those. What are your girls into? What are their
Slime.
into what?
Slime.
Blime?
Slime.
Oh, slime.
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 I
SLIME.
think said
Slime.
blime. I'm like, what
No.
is it? Some British thing. Um,
Slime.
what are they watching? Are they watching lots of cartoons and things?
They, the little one was like heavily into Peppa Pig and Bluey for a long time, but she has now been co-opted by her older sister, and so they watch a lot of like Nickelodeon shows on Netflix. So
Okay.
she's watching. They're really into a show right now called Bunked, which is a pretty goofy show about kids
Are they?
at a sleepover camp.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I've seen that. I don't know why I've seen that, but I've seen that. Uh, there's a what's the other one my son likes? It's it's a camp related, or I think there's camp related thing that's Gravity Falls. That's what it is.
No, it's on Disney.
I couldn't tell you. I've never
Okay.
seen it. I don't know. My wife and I watch a few random sort of animated things. I used to work in animation back in the day,
Oh,
and so I'm a little hesitant on watching animation at this point just because it
do you
brings back.
judge it too much?
Yeah, it was a tough industry, and it was too many late nights and weekends lost and things of the sort, and so I kind of shy away from it.
Sure.
We worked on shows that we worked on the Time Warp Trio show.
I don't know it. I'm sorry. I don't think I know it.
John Cheska, uh, Lane Smith.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
early chapter book series. I think that was back in the 90s, somewhere in there. And we
Okay.
that, and then home movies, which was one of the first Adult Swim shows, and then a show called Hey Moni and O'Grady
Do you
were the
remember?
ones that.
Was it like Liquid TV on Nickelodeon on
Yes,
MTV? I
Liquid
loved that.
with Aeon Flux
Aeon Flux.
and
I loved Aeon Flux.
uh,
And then there was also this one, I can't remember what it was called. It was like puppets and all I remember is it was a girl and she would be like, "Hey, I know you. You're Crow's Crow." But I don't for the life of me remember what the show was about. It was absolutely bonkers. And I loved it.
there were a bunch of things that were on that I love, and I don't remember all. There was like,
I think
if I remember correctly,
Did Beavis and Butthead start there? Maybe not.
don't
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but we love Beavis. We've been watching some of the new episodes they've put out. Maybe a few years back, we watched them, and it's still an amazing. Winter's Deal.
Winter
Winter's
Steel.
Steel. There you
Yes.
go. That's my wife yelling down prompts to me in the background.
Thank you. Yes, Winter Steel. Hey, I know you. You're Crow's Crow.
It's one of those ones where, like, I'm sure that I would probably enjoy some of those. You know what one is amazing that I loved was a show called Apple and Onion.
Oh, I don't know that.
Do you know the comedian Richard Iowade?
I don't know. I'd have to see a picture.
He's on the
Maybe.
IT crowd. He's British, but
Mhm.
it's like SpongeBob, but not chaotic.
SpongeBob is so great. My kids were like heavily into SpongeBob
Yeah.
for a while, and it reminded me like it's such a great show. It's so
Yeah,
bonkers.
it's Apples and Onions is sort of like there's personified apples and onions and things of the sort, but it's a little bit more sophisticated and I think cuter because it's just not full chaos nonstop, but totally a lovely show if you can get your hands on it. I know it's streaming somewhere of some sort.
I used to also go to the Spike and Mike
Oh yeah,
animation festival.
yes,
I
that's
loved Spike and Mike.
we used to do that when I was in college. They would come through the
Yes.
in the theater, and I still remember seeing a bunch of stuff that turned into shows, but also the music video for "Devil Went Down to Georgia"
Oh, yes.
uh,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I forgot about
by
that. Yes.
yeah, the Primus version.
Yes.
And I still like every time I hear that song, that's the thing that I think of is that in particular.
Gosh, I'm so close to getting something here.
I'm trying to.
I'm
I drew the broken leg. I'm trying to figure out if there's a reason for the broken leg that I can.
I can't figure out how to do an eyeball with the what I'm doing here. Maybe it's just this. This does not look right. Maybe this is wrong. Hold on. Wait, I don't want to undo too much. My voice is my voice, right? What are you gonna do?
Yep. Lean into it. Don't.
I'm gonna lean into it. Picasso didn't not lean in, right? I'm gonna just lean in to whatever this is.
Do you like the word voice more than style?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's my. I've been leaning towards voice a little bit more. I mean,
I really think there's a distinction. I don't know why. I think there's a distinction. It's really voice. I just think of it as like an illustrator's voice, an artist's voice.
I mean, aesthetic can work too, but I think
Yeah.
voice is a little bit more exciting because it's more than just a visual cue.
For me, I
No, wait.
have this thing of like sometimes like I love. Oh God, never mind. I started saying this and it sounds so crazy. Um, I like sometimes I like the art is like delicious. Like I want to eat it.
Draw off. That's what it's. No, when I do work with my students, I ask them to create a bunch of adjectives or words that describe their voice, and sometimes it is just like bubblegum, or oh, your work is very mustardy, and they go, yeah, that makes sense. Mustardy totally works. Let's see, a mouse. I'm writing the thing. I had to switch pages because I had an eraser mishap that drew a giant a mouse with a broken leg. And then
Right, draw off with Jen Rofé.
yep. Draw.
Oh, there. I think I figured out the eye. Okay.
With Jen Rofé. And then what's the date today?
6/19/25. I thought I figured out the eye. Hold on. I think I'm close to getting the eye. I think I'm close to that.
Then we're gonna have to reveal these on screen, right?
Correct. We'll reveal them. I'm not done yet. Are you done? You might be done.
I'm getting close.
I'm struggling here with some like a mouth. Like, oh, I just figured it out. Look at that. Oh my. Look at that. That's so cute. Okay, that will do. I've not yet approached arms, Mark.
It's okay.
I
Okay. I'm still trying to figure out. I feel like there's got to be. Oh, I know what I can do. I know what I can
think
do.
I
I'm
have to do
trying to.
something like this.
I
Oh,
wanted
this
to have.
is slowly getting somewhere. I'm slowly figuring this out. Look how into this I get. Like I'm so into
I
this.
wanted something that implied like why this mouse uh, um, has a broken leg, and I couldn't figure it out. Now I finally figured it out, so I'm drawing it in.
I think that my head might be a little too big. I don't know, maybe not.
How often do you do the draw-offs with people?
Just if I'm with someone.
So this is your first uh, virtual draw-off?
This is my first virtual draw off.
Okay. Okay. I,
My friends think
I'm
they're
honored.
hilarious. My mom always tells me that I lose.
Well, your mom needs to get her eyes checked then.
All right, thank
Uh,
you. Thank you. She doesn't, I don't think she quite gets when I post them that it's like kind of tongue in
yeah.
cheek. And she'll be like, that's terrible. You didn't win.
Like great confidence booster, mom.
Thanks, mom.
Yeah. One of the things I've told students in the past, just to give them a little bit of like understanding of the world. Um, my parents did not have any of my artwork in their house.
Oh, Mark.
Um, well, they won't put my artwork that I make today in their house. I have one piece that's up in their house that I made for them that's like a realistic blue heron in a marsh and things of the sort. But for a long time, I only got my artwork shown in their garage, and that's because
Oh,
they
God.
fit it up in their attic out of the way. And I'm pretty sure it's been thrown away since. It's just I'm not their aesthetic, and
Now,
that's okay.
are your kids artistic?
Uh, my son is very good with math and science and that kind of stuff, and on the side of like building, like the industrial design or like playing with Lego and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Good with that, but not creative in the same way. Like he's really good with instructions and things of the sort, but coming up with something on his own is not always his cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said to many people over and over again that I'm okay with that. And one, because I know the challenges, but the joke is that I want some money to retire off
Right.
of. And so if he gets a good job that can pay for, um, my senior living at a later point in life, then I'm okay.
As I'm
I think
drawing the arms, I'm remembering a story from first grade. I loved my first grade teacher. I loved her so much, Miss Saunders. And she was an artist and she would teach us how to draw. And she had us draw like humans or something one time. Maybe it was our we like draw ourselves. I don't remember. But I did my people here. I'll show you. Just hold on. Let me find something. So like I did my people, kind of like this. But I had the arms coming out of the sides like this.
I'm not supposed to.
And well, you can look at this because it's not. So like the arms would come out of the sides, and she was then doing like kind of sort of instructional show and tell for the class. She didn't say who did the art, but she held mine up and said, look at the arms on this one. um arms come out from the sides of our body? No, they come from our shoulders. And I remember just being so upset and embarrassed, even though no one knew it was mine. I knew, but now when I'm drawing arms, I'm always like, they come from the shoulders, not from the side. of a
there's all
body.
those like proportion things where it's like your head is this many, or your body is this many heads tall, and things of the sort. And some of that is absolutely wonderful, and some of that gets in the way of like good character design uh, over time. Like arms should be in the right spot, but like the idea of like, you know, the lollipop head is going to give you a little bit more of a kid-like feel to it versus a realistic sort of proportion and whatnot. So let's see. I'm trying to figure out if there's.
All right, I've got one more arm to draw.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm trying to figure out if I should, if people can see this, if there's a little quote that the guy should be saying. Oh, I know what I'll say. Yeah, we'll do this.
I just want you to know I think mine is pretty sweet.
I'm sure that it's going to be much sweeter than mine,
Okay.
but I think mine's going to take the cake. And all those people who said that you were going to wipe the floor with me,
We're
gonna
right.
no, no.
What happened?
No. I'm just saying they were not right.
They were
Uh,
not right. You think you're
yeah.
gonna win. You feel really
Oh,
confident.
yeah. I'm on the ball
All
today.
right.
No way.
All right. Let me just figure out this arm so you lose. Hold on. Um, I don't really quite know what this arm is doing. Why is this arm just seems a little short too, but maybe I'm just overthinking this. I don't know.
Let me see.
I'm really taking my time with this one. I'm usually a little faster, but I feel the
Yeah, do
pressure.
you normally put a time limit?
Nah, just do it.
I like the fact that you do. I'm going to try to convince other agents to jump on here and do this periodically because I think it's just a nice different voice to have on. And like I know I can probably convince Chad Beckerman, not agent. I'm sorry, agents and publishers and things. But
Yes.
Chad Beckerman, I went to school with him at RISD, and
Get him to
so
do it.
I know. So like he's one of the folks. But
You
I
should try
asked,
to get editors too. I mean, you could like make
yeah,
this,
like
publishing talk.
it's not a like you have to be able to be a full-time artist to do this.
No.
It's just let's talk kidlit, let's talk life, etc., and give us a little moment in time. All right, I'm gonna sign mine here. Let me in fact,
I'm trying to figure out my situation here. I think I need to change this. Hold on. I'm getting there.
think I'm done. Think I did it.
Okay.
I think you're in trouble.
Okay.
This is gonna blow your mind.
I bet it will.
I keep getting a thing on here. Try again. We limit how often you can do certain things on Instagram to protect your community. That's fine. I'm getting a pop-up ad on here. As long as it's recording and putting it out there, then I'm good. On my
Tell them
phone.
to stop being so bossy. Like, get out of my
Yeah.
business, Instagram.
Please say it's going okay.
Okay. I am almost done here.
Oh, I don't like.
Touching up a
Oh no.
hand.
There we go.
All right, Mark. I might have to just call this. I
Okay.
love it. I think I've done a stellar job. I think that there's just something really charming about my the intentional naivete in my artwork, and that it's like really refreshing.
I think it is. Yeah, it is on the cusp. It's in the zeitgeist. It is.
I'm gonna look at yours now. Or I
Yeah.
have you looked at mine? I don't know.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I'm looking at it right.
Oh, your bandages are quite good.
He
Oh, is that a skateboard?
he tried to do a trick on a skateboard,
Oh gosh,
and now he's got a little
that's
broken leg.
really darling. In fact, this is one of those scenarios where it's like, Mark, I see this drawing, I see this story, and it makes me go, huh, what's the story with
Yeah,
this mouse?
this is It's the gist. Yeah, he's an extremely good skateboarder in his head, but not in real life.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic.
So I will send you my little doodle. If you DM me your address,
I,
I
I
will send
will.
you a lovely
Oh,
little.
you can actually mail it to me.
What?
You'll actually mail it to me?
Yeah,
Oh, that would be amazing.
I'll mail you that. Do you want a garbage truck or a
I would
turkey?
love them. Oh my gosh, I would
I'll
love
send you a
them.
little package. I will scan them in first. I'm in my abode, and then I will send you these off as fun little treats for joining me today.
Thank
So let me.
you for doing
I'm going to
this.
switch back to my camera facing the other direction. Why am I don't know what's up with this prompt. It keeps popping up. Okay, you can see me, correct?
I can
Okay.
see you. You're a little blurry, but I see you.
Okay, there. Yeah, just on for some reason I'm getting this stupid little pop-up ad that won't go away, no matter how many times I click on. Okay, so I will say thank you so much for joining me today. This was a pleasure, and I'm glad
Thank
that
you for having
the
me.
inaugural agent art competition on here, and so we will. I definitely will be in touch when. Do you go to Icon ever?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Okay, that's the big illustration conference that they're doing in Baltimore, I think this year, or not this year, but next summer that I'm going to try to go to. But I'm sure that we will run into each other at some point. You must go to the LA SCBWI, right?
They haven't done it in person in years. They've only been doing it
Really?
online. They're trying to get it back to do it again in person, but I will present virtually, but I have not been in the same room with so many of these people in since 2019.
Oh man, because I know New York had both like in person and online,
Yeah.
and then they at the last minute decided to do an in person one.
Yeah.
Uh, so I will, but I'm sure I will run into you at one of these events. But I must say thank you so much for joining me. This
Thank
has
you.
been lovely. Glad I got to pick your brain, and at a certain point, I would love to chat again and just sort of rehash uh, all the conversation. But
Happy to.
thank
Thanks,
you, thank you.
Mark.
Go bring your trash cans in.
I actually, yeah.
Call back, call back. Otherwise, I will be in touch.
Okay.
DM me your
All
address.
right.
But have a good
You
night.
too. Bye.
Okay, everybody. So I literally have this pop up. Well, first of all, before I say that, thank you to Jen Rofé, who is a senior agent at Andrea Brown Literary, has been there for, from the sound of it, 20 years. What is going on with my Instagram? Is it literally this stupid pop up thing? I'm trying to get my feed up so I can see it. Hold on one second. Hey, Lauren, can you see me? Okay, it's something weird going on down here. Anyways, thank you to General Fay for joining me. I will be on next week with. I'm gonna massacre this. I know I'm gonna massacre this. Ingela P. R. Henius. That's how I would say it, but it's totally wrong. Ingela. P is the middle initial. ARRHENIOUS. No, HENIUS. I'm probably misspelling it. It's on the ad. You'll see it. But we're going to be on next week. And then soon thereafter, we will have another round, another month of names that will be coming at you ASAP. But I'm going to post probably these little things I made for you all to see. And otherwise, tune into the YouTube channel under Studiohoffmann with 2 F's, 2 N's. I'm still doing mentorships. So if people want mentorships, those are still available. They've sort of been on a rolling enrollment throughout the summer. And then there is some artwork that I have that's for sale at a couple of different events. One, the Salute Show that's out at Gallery or Nucleus Portland right now. So if you look that up. And then I just sent some artwork to the something in numbers, PIN, at Gallery Nucleus in LA, or in I guess not LA. It's out in California. I can't think of the town it's in right now. But I have 3 collage pieces that are smaller. That's a small work show that'll be in there that I'll probably be posting about very soon. Other than that, you all have a lovely week, and I will see you next week for another Gavin Doodle. All right, bye everybody.